Chapter 239, Azure Flame Guard. Chapter 239, Azure Flame Guard. Whoosh! The purple lightning bolts spun a spider's web as they hammered the skies. It was as if the heavens were becoming fragmented. Then, a lightning bolt fell before Gu Santong. Zhuo Fan saw the shivering child among the lightning and cried, "Gu Santong, stop daydreaming and run. Don't you want to live?" Save. Gu Santong shook his head and stuttered. "What?" Zhuo Fan shouted. "Save me." Gu Santong showed his pitiful face, his eyes filled with tears. Zhuo Fan was shocked. Never would have thought it possible that the great Gu Santong's nightmare was purple lightning. He truly became a child gripped by fear. Frowning, Zhuo Fan showed a particular grin. Then he grabbed the kid and flew away. Wasn't it obvious he should fulfill his request? Zhuo Fan had been going all this time about having the kid under him, but since the kid was a tough nut to crack, how could he succeed? Only now. At the kid's weakest, the best chance presented itself. This was the sole reason why Zhuo Fan braved the danger of rescuing him. Otherwise, with his rotten character, he wouldn't be caught dead saving anyone. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, to have the strongest in Tianyu at his behest. When the stakes were high, so was the return. And only through this grave risk might he be able to gain an invincible subordinate. Zhuo Fan laughed coldly inside. Gu Santong has been keeping a promise for 300 years after losing one lousy bet. Now that I save him, won't he give his all in repaying me? He, with Gu Santong behind me, let's see how those Regent Estate bastards dare lift even a finger against me. Zhuo Fan could already see the future, one in which the 7 houses were at his feet. Too bad though, what man proposes God disposes. This time, his risk may very well be fatal. With a shocking boom, the fragmented sky was now thoroughly wrecked, revealing a huge black hole in the sky. Purple lightning fell by the thousand, pulverizing anything it touched. And the storm kicked up by the lightning sent everything in that black abyss. Zhuo Fan was flying with all his power when a sudden power gripped him, slowly sucking him into the black hole. Like an invisible hand, it wanted to throw him into that endless abyss. Heart in a vice, Zhuo Fan picked up more speed with his wings. But he didn't gain one bit of ground, falling ever deeper among the purple lightning storm. Zhuo Fan's anxiety grew and his brow was soaked. The situation took a dire turn for the worst. Thus he turned to the scared Gu Santong. "Gu Santong, we are about to be sucked in. Is there anything you can do?" Gu Santong had been shivering all this time, with fear robbing him even of his voice. But even if this was his normal state, his first reaction was to roll his eyes. "Oh please, you're the one doing the rescuing, remember? Now you're asking me for help. You'd think I'd be shivering here doing nothing if I had a way out?" Sighing, Zhuo Fan knew the kid was out for the count, scared witless by the purple lightning. He only had himself to rely on. But everywhere he looked was purple lightning. Besides lightning, there was only more lightning. And all while the sucking abyss was doing its best to devour them among the tight curtain of lighting. The lightest touch would stop their hearts. Is this how I'll lose the gamble and my life? In the lightning canyon? Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth, unwilling to give up for a second. He was still working his damnedest in getting out of there. Boom! Suddenly, a purple bolt smashed into his back, forcing him to spit blood. Losing his balance, he drifted deeper into the bottomless pit. Wiping his blood, Zhuo Fan rejoiced, "Thankfully, it's only a 3rd heaven purple lightning, just like Brother Jiu's, or I'd be a goner." But he didn't finish his words as a second lightning fell. This time his whole body shivered. His diamond sand and unbreakable body was sporting cracks, and blood spilled from the force of the lightning. What? A 4th heaven purple lightning? Gasping, Zhuo Fan looked up to see the big hole was getting increasingly closer. And the closer it got, the stronger the lightning. If a 6th heaven lightning struck him, he would be pulverized in body and soul. Shuo Fan was out of his depth this time. He was about to die a second time at a moment's notice if he didn't come up with something, and fast. It was time to exert the power he gathered all these years. But the crucial thing was, 9 Serenity's secret record's secret technique could not be used so frequently. Each subsequent use would break the tie between the soul and his consciousness. After all, he was making use of another's soul. There may very well not be a next rebirth. After all, the type of grievance he needed may have vanished from the world. Shuo Fan was reborn this time, but regarded his life with utmost seriousness. It may very well be his last. Taking a deep breath to cool down, Shuo Fan started thinking about a plan of action. He gnashed his teeth and settled on taking out the Thunder Skylark's egg. His original plan was to use the newborn Thunder Skylark to control the lightning's power, and let it absorb it. Even if it could only absorb the 6th heaven, it would buy him enough time to get inside this place. But now, he only had an egg, that may very well be unable to take a single lightning before crack open like a melon. But desperate times called for desperate measures. Shuo Fan held the egg in one hand and Gu Santong in the other, flung straight for the Lightning Canyon's black hole. He was carefully controlling his flight as he looked for the right approach. Boom! With a thunderclap, a purple lightning shot straight for Shuo Fan. His eyes squinted and shouted, "Fourth heaven purple lighting." He lifted the egg to let it take the brunt. Perhaps it was their connection, or it was just plain first in its path, but the purple lightning struck the Thunder Skylark's egg. It was as if it acted as a beacon. But the enormous power having slammed into the egg made it shudder, on the verge of breaking. Shuo Fan used demon transformation art post-haste, taking the rest of the lightning power into him and refined it. Perhaps the egg still had some magic left in it, as by some miracle, it cushioned the lightning's power. Shuo Fan shuddered, but he was otherwise unaffected. This worked to lift his mood, this could work. But what worried him most was the power of the purple lightning. Even with the demon transformation art, he couldn't refine all of it. Some of its power wasn't much of a threat to him, but if he let that power roam around his body, it would only get worse. I have to find the right path inside. If lightning doesn't strike me down first, I'll die from overexposure. Shuo Fan felt numb. He sensed the places where the purple lightning traveled inside him and his face grew grave. Boom! The closer he got to the black hole, the purple lightning struck with greater intensity and frequency. Shuo Fan pushed through the pain and lasted so far, but more and more unrefined lightning power gathered inside him, wreaking havoc. As the damage on his organs intensified, blood started leaking from his mouth. Boom! Another purple flash signaled a fast-approaching lightning, 5th heaven purple lightning. This was one power that could crush even a radiant stage expert. Shuo Fan operated the demon transformation art to the max. Black energy covered the egg, waiting for the moment the lightning struck it to refine it. But, the lightning scattered the black energy in an instant. Its power flew unencumbered through the egg and into his body. Blood and gore spewed out of his mouth, Shuo Fan having suffered a heavy blow. He was incapable of refining such powerful lightning in time and was taking its toll on him. He was now on the brink of collapse. So weak he couldn't handle another. But when it rained, it poured. As if that strike was the curtain's call, another lightning slammed down. Shuo Fan was now pale, looking at the incoming attack bitterly. His eyes having lost its last thread of hope, blast it, another 5th heaven purple lightning. I'm finished. He looked at the shivering Gu Santong, and patted his head. Who'd ever knew this would happen, that I would ultimately die saving a kid? I mean, I wouldn't be suffering so much if I haven't saved you. Is this my fate, all because of greed? Shuo Fan shook his head and sighed, but I do not regret it. Few are the chances a man gets at life. I have failed this time, but even if it will be the next time, I'd still choose this path. I only hope there will be a next time. Clenching his eyes shut, Shuo Fan held Gu Santong close, yet he looked quite at peace. He was a man of ambition, but even in the face of death, he would welcome it with open arms. Suddenly, an azure flame flitted from his forehead, covering the two of them in its glow. It was then when the purple lightning struck. The oddest thing happened. When the lightning touched the flame, it was melted down in a flash. One could see with the naked eye how the purple lightning was rendered useless. Ah, azure flame, you came at such a perfect timing, all to say, I told you so, didn't you? If it weren't today with Gu Santong, but later alone, it wouldn't make a difference still, right? Zhuo Fan lamented, in the end, I was too conceited. Thinking with the demon emperor's legacy I could rule the world and even look down on the heavenly emperor's array. I am such a lame joke. At least no one knows me for the demon emperor that I was, or I'd be the world's biggest laughingstock. Zhuo Fan shook his head, downcast, his eyes losing their light, uncaring of the relentless hammering the purple lightning did. Suddenly, a flash of red came from deep within the black abyss. Zhuo Fan turned his head to see it and found it very small, but it had no purple lightning around it. His eyes lit up and Zhuo Fan shouted, right, Brother Jiao said that he was suddenly swept by this purple thunderstorm and entered by chance. That means Heavenly Emperor's array isn't perfect. And this loophole wasn't left intentionally by the creator but by someone who actually broke a hole into it. Zhuo Fan looked at the red glow with more attention, filling him with joy. Correct, that red light was a loophole and following it would take them in. But if they followed it in, they'd enter the remnant. He, am I supposed to just flee now that I reached thus far? Of course I'll go in and make a thorough investigation inside. Who knows when such a God-sent chance will be presented to me? Whether or not I'll find the loophole again in this huge array is the real question. Zhuo Fan lost his dispirited gaze and turned ecstatic. What's so great about Heavenly Emperor? Wasn't it already broken into by someone? Ha ha ha. If only Heavenly Emperor could hear him now, he'd be going blue from anger and spitting back in reply. You damn rotten shameless punk. Why are you getting so smug? You didn't make the hole, did you? Speaking of the hole's size, it was far too small to enter. Worse yet, the hole even had purple lightning all around it that he didn't dare touch. To enter, he had to enlarge it from afar, and then go in through the red light. This way, the purple lightning would stop bothering him. The crux of it all was, how can he proceed? He didn't think punching and kicking would just up and open a Heavenly Emperor's array. That'd be ridiculous. Then again, Zhuo Fan's eyes landed on the curled-up Gu Santong. Kid, time to pay up. Laughing inside, Zhuo Fan started rattling the kid, Gu Santong, we are in grave danger, with only one chance at survival. See that red light? That is the exit. Punch it, make it big enough for us to go through. No, I'm scared of that lightning. Gu Santong held his ears and jerked his head. Zhuo Fan barked, I'm scared too, but are you more scared of them or death? And even if we are to die, let's all go out with a bang and no regrets. Gu Santong was startled but still shivered. Zhuo Fan smiled and tousled his hair, his tone softer, it's fine. I'll hold you close. Even if we die, I'll go first. I won't ever let go of you, so you don't either. When life hangs in the balance we must hold nothing back. Particularly about letting me go, alright? If not for your sake, punch for me. Please. Zhuo Fan didn't voice his thought, but he made a great impression on Gu Santong. Gu Santong regarded him deeply, his heart warm and fuzzy. His frightened body no longer trembled and looked at the red light and nodded. Then, with a shout, he lifted his childish fist and punched. Hum. A strange ripple came from Gu Santong's fist, as if a large dragon shot forth. It was so excessive that even the purple lightning was warped in its wake as it shook the very fabric of space. Boom! The red light grew and turned into a man-sized hole, sending out a red pillar of light this time. Where it shined, no purple lightning dared go near it. Zhuo Fan was ecstatic and rubbed the kid's head, you were brilliant, kid. Gu Santong grinned like an innocent child. But then, a purple lightning slammed into Zhuo Fan. The azure flame shuddered and up and vanished. The remaining lightning power snaked its way into Zhuo Fan and forced him to spat flickering blood. His face paled. "Are you all right?" Gu Santong cried. Suddenly hugging the kid, Zhuo Fan showed a weak smile. "It's fine. I told you, I'll be holding on to you as long as I have a breath in my body. There's nothing scary about this purple lightning." Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and flew towards the red light. But when he entered the cover of the light, he blacked out. All while his arms still held Gu Santong close. The two floated like that among the red light, with only Gu Santong aware, moved seeing Zhuo Fan's pale face. Outside of the purple storm, not long after Lightning Canyon came, it vanished again. It left behind absolutely nothing. Gu Santong's two fists at least left dust, but the Lightning Canyon annihilated everything. It reshaped the land in its wake, leaving behind a place where not even dust remained. And where the purple lightning struck the earth, it left boiling lava. Li Jingtian and the four demons sent a soul ripple to search the area but found no trace of Zhuo Fan and Gu Santong. Steward Zhuo and that devil had to be destroyed body and soul. Sly Demon sighed. Wah, Steward Zhuo is so pitiful. Why did he have to die with that devil? Wimp Demon sniffed. Steward Zhuo was so good to us, not abandoning when it mattered most. Yeah, unlike our sect leader, who would use us as pastries in a heartbeat. Violent Demon sighed in sorrow as well. But soon he grinned and laughed. Well, look on the bright side. Aren't we free again? Ha ha ha. The three demons froze then jumped in joy. Yeah. Li Jingtian's face was glum, his brow twitching as he barked. Who told you that lie? Now that you're in the employment of the Luo clan, you won't get out so easily. Humph, think you can scare us? Who do you think you are, Steward Zhuo? Violent Demon mocked. Snorting, Li Jingtian's fingers moved. You think only Steward Zhuo can control the bloodworms? Think about it, why would Steward Zhuo leave you in my care if not for teaching me how to control you? Shuddering, the demons watched him vigilant. Humph, you don't believe me. Want a taste to refresh your memories? No, we believe you. Just as Li Jingtian was about to do it, the demons begged. Then they bowed with lamenting faces. Elderly, we will listen to you. Nodding smugly, Li Jingtian glared. That's better. Now let's get back to Windgaze City and guard the Luo clan. I still have to ask young miss to confer you the rank of elders. Or if you stay in my care I'll put you on latrine duty. We will be elders. The four shouted in panic as they flew to Windgaze City. Seeing them go, Li Jingtian sighed at the empty space behind. Steward Zhuo, staying with you for so long, I've picked up a few tricks. Don't worry, no matter where you are, I believe you're still alive. I'll look after these clowns and await your return. Li Jingtian then followed after the demons, leaving behind the desolate place. Chapter 241, I'll be your father. Chapter 241, I'll be your father. Boom. The crackling of lightning never stopped jarring his ears, rousing the weakened and pale Zhuo Fan. Above, all he saw was a dome of blackness, with only a hazy red light shining down on the earth around him. Earlier, they jumped inside that hole in the sky after following the curtain of red light, the same one that kept changing positions. Looking further, one could see above the red curtain, the purple lightning raining havoc like dragons all around and towards it. But once the lightning touched the red light, it bounced back. The red light was a haven, freeing this patch of earth from the lightning's deadly assault. Is this Heavenly Emperor's remnant? With a faint smile, Zhuo Fan was heavily wounded, but that didn't stop the joy he felt. He was finally here. Looking around, all he saw was yellow rocky outcrops everywhere. It didn't look like much, but he wasn't disappointed in the least. It was the person that made a mountain known, not the hunk of rock itself. Even if the Heavenly Emperor's remnant was a wasteland, it still hid treasures. Zhuo Fan crawled to his feet, eager to begin searching. He tried getting up but then found something heavy on him. Gu Santong was holding on for his dear life, his small face in tranquil sleep. Gu Santong was stirred awake and wiped the drool for his face. He opened his hazy eyes and gave an innocent smile. Ha ha ha, you're awake. Zhuo Fan smiled and nodded. But then, another lightning roared nearby and Gu Santong was frightened into burying his head in Zhuo Fan's chest, his hands holding onto Zhuo Fan for his dear life. Zhuo Fan shook his head, never imagining Invincible Scamp would be such a shy kid. It is understandable if we were outside, but why are you acting all scared here when you know the lightning can't touch you? Gu Santong, we're safe here. You should let go and let me look around. Don't wanna. Gu Santong shook his head, holding him tighter. I'm scared of purple lightning. Holding you feels safe. Zhuo Fan smiled dejectedly and shook his head. Oh please, you're much stronger than me, so how can you feel safe next to me? It'd make more sense if I was the one holding on to you. Gu Santong grumbled and lifted his head. You kinda remind me of Dad, and felt safe holding on to you. Dad? Zhuo Fan started. You have a dad? Gu Santong rolled his eyes and Zhuo Fan's face twitched. What the hell am I saying? Who doesn't? It's not like this kid came out of a rock or something, right? He hurriedly brushed it off with a chuckle. That's not it. I was just surprised. With how strong you are, your dad must be amazing. I don't know. I've never seen my father for as long as I can remember. Gu Santong said downcast. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow in thought. Knowing what he was thinking, Gu Santong added, the dad I'm talking about is Godfather. He is surnamed Gu and had 2 sons. When I was chased around because of the demon purging decree, it was he who saved and nursed me. Did he give you your name? Zhuo Fan asked. Gu Santong nodded and showed a bittersweet smile. The Gu clan was a clan of scholars, with every generation working as officials. They weren't very high-ranked, neither held important positions, but they had a happy life. After he saved me, he took me as his 3rd son and taught me to read and write. He wished for me to be a sensible man, so he named me Santong. Smiley face San equals 3 Tong equals communication. I see. He picked up a precious treasure. With you watching over them, their success was guaranteed. They must have been instantly promoted and their clan became a first-rate one, right? Zhuo Fan chuckled. But Gu Santong sighed in sadness. No, I harmed them instead. If it weren't for me, their whole clan wouldn't have died. Zhuo Fan was startled and soon could guess what happened. This child was hunted down with the demon purging decree, and even a mere greeting would earn that person death. Reading all those books must have gotten to that clan's head to have welcomed their calamity into their house. Don't feel bad. That is also fate. Zhuo Fan patted his head. Is this why you turned into the Empire's enemy? Gu Santong nodded, his eyes taking a hint of savagery from the bitterness in his heart, but then sighed at the end. In the end I was too careless, agreeing to that old fart's promise. Now I am powerless to fight the 7 houses. You could have just broke your promise. A child's words do not hold weight. No one would blame you. Zhuo Fan ruffled his hair, like a devil on his shoulder, pushing him towards malice and destruction. But Gu Santong shook his head vehemently. Dad taught me the value of reading, taught me honor. I won't disgrace his teaching just because he died. Good child. Zhuo Fan nodded, but inwardly sighed. Such an ambitious sapling got ruined in an instant. But all bookworms are suckers. But, that's fine as well. How else could I've had such leeway if this kid was immoral? Zhuo Fan felt like extending that Gu scholar a gesture of gratitude. Thanks for having misled this mighty kid onto the path of a bookworm and off my kill list. Zhuo Fan rejoiced and showed a sneaky grin. You must always listen to your godfather. He was right. Gu Santong nodded. falling for Zhuo Fan's ploy like a baby. By the way, what did you mean when you said I reminded you of your dad? Zhuo Fan's eyes beamed. Gu Santong blushed, turning meek as he mumbled, when you held me as we charged in here and protected me from lightning, remind me of the time when Dad protected me and told me to escape. Oh, I see. Zhuo Fan exclaimed, the kid took my act as fatherly love. The difference here though was while that Gu guy loved kids, Zhuo Fan loved himself. His selfless act in protecting Gu Santong was all so he could have him under him, that his death would be such a pity. If the scenario was instead a one guaranteed survivor, Zhuo Fan wouldn't hesitate to throw the kid to the wolves. Who knew this act would lead to a huge misunderstanding instead? So Zhuo Fan showed a queer smile, Santong, how about I'll be your dad? This rotten and shameless punk even had the balls to call the kid by his name to get closer. Gu Santong seemed opposed to the idea, feeling quite awkward as well. Why would I do that? I'm 300 years old. And how old are you? That's too queer. What's so queer about it? You may have 3 centuries over me, but you're a child at heart and need looking after. Zhuo Fan shouted his righteousness, his tone growing soft, and we are also here by fate. I was fond of you the moment I saw you. Really? Gu Santong was expectant. Zhuo Fan nodded. Damn right I am. Particularly of your insane power. I like that the best. So hurry up and work under me like a good little soldier. Gu Santong rubbed his chin and lifted his head, what's in it for me? Why you little prick? Zhuo Fan cursed inside, but he soon accepted the fact, since all kids were pricks, I can protect you. Do I even need your protection? What was that just now then if not protection? Zhuo Fan said, also, you may be unreasonably strong, but far too gullible and easy to dupe. Just think, if you hadn't readily believed that guys lie ending up protecting the imperial family for a millennia, wouldn't you be exacting revenge on the 7 houses by now? Accept me as your godfather and I will safeguard you, as well as show the world who they really are. Bloody bastards, dare to cheat my son. You must be tired of living. Zhuo Fan sputtered, talking big words that made Gu Santong laugh, but still couldn't stop from making the kid feel warm inside. We, father and son, are the strongest and smartest combination. Did you see that old guy and the 4 little shits listening to every word I say? They are all stronger than me, but aren't they still hanging on my every word? That is wisdom. The wise controls and so do the powerful. Gu Santong bobbed his head. Zhuo Fan finished off with his biggest sales pitch, join me and with my power, no one will pick on you. Above all, you will never have to eat that garbage ingredients again. If I can find an 8th grade, I won't ever give you a 7th grade. Zhuo Fan then showed him 27th grade ingredients, as a token of my sincerity, these are all the 7th grade ingredients from my ring. I also admit all those other ingredients I've given you were already in my storage ring. Only the 8th grade ingredient had to be found. I truly had to enter the lightning array and suffer untold hardships for it. Zhuo Fan's speech was impeccable, mixing truth and lies flawlessly and hiding his greatest offense in order to gain trust. He knew Gu Santong cared most about others' intent to hurt him. It was a shadow left in his heart a long time ago. Zhuo Fan must never ever admit to having set the lightning array himself, ever. I know. Gu Santong took the ingredient, he's hooked, as he drooled, I still had my doubts about you trying to harm me, but now I trust you. Since you are forthcoming with the ingredients from your ring, I'm sure there is nothing else hidden. Zhuo Fan nodded and sighed inside. How can I feel at ease leaving this gullible child all alone in the world? Most of all, letting others use him would be poor judgment from my part. That'll cause me endless trouble. He's far more fitting in the care of my adequate and fatherly hands, he. As for you hiding ingredients, I knew it already. You did? Zhuo Fan was shocked. If the kid did know and with his temper, he'd have stolen them by now from Zhuo Fan. But why didn't he? Gu Santong smiled, to be honest, eating ingredients isn't important. It's the wait for them that I find most appealing. Godfather usually went out for weeks, even a month sometimes, to find me ingredients to eat. He always returned with first or second grade ones, but the image of him appearing filled with hope at sunset gave me peace. Oh, I see. Then give them back and I will return one every 1 or 2 weeks. Zhuo Fan licked his lips, still hoping to not waste them like this. But Gu Santong held them close, and turned around. How can you ask back something you've already given? What kind of dad are you? Zhuo Fan's eyes shined and laughed. Does that mean you will take me as a godfather? Gu Santong meekly nodded. Zhuo Fan burst out laughing at the heavens. Ha ha ha, with this monstrous son, what 7 houses, what regent estate would ever dare mess with me? Chapter 242, Ancient Sacred Beast, Soaring Qilin. Chapter 242, Ancient Sacred Beast, Soaring Qilin. In the middle of laughing, Zhuo Fan's eyes bulged, he shivered and, under a purple lightning's effect, spat blood. When the blood hit the ground, it exploded and left a black mark. Gu Santong cried, Godfather, are you alright? I'm fine. This purple lightning is just too powerful. Zhuo Fan wiped the blood, and panted with a grave look in his eyes. The purple lightning exceeded his calculations. The part that he failed to refine with demon transformation art roamed around his body just now and caused disaster in its wake. But he had no way to stop it either. This was akin to slow-acting poison. He knew it ravaged his body, and would one day rob his life, but couldn't do anything about it. Looking further, at the rocks and yellow sand, Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and stood up, his face hard. Santong, help me search for anything suspicious. He knew the purple lightning was one of Heavenly Emperor's abilities and the Emperor must have had to have a way to dispel it. He had no choice but to scour Heavenly Emperor's remnant and find that cure. Gu Santong nodded genially and helped Zhuo Fan up. Godfather, you can just call me Young Sanzi. That's how my old dad used to call me. Anyone who was friendly with me called me that. Zhuo Fan nodded, smiling weakly. All right, Young Sanzi. Go scout ahead. Understood. Gu Santong cupped his hands, and skipped away. Having recognized Zhuo Fan as godfather, and finding someone close to him, did wonders for his ego, even ignoring the ceaseless rumbling above. Since Zhuo Fan was right behind him, he had nothing to fear. The duo had been wandering this endless stretch of yellow sand for over 6 hours but still couldn't reach the end. Zhuo Fan ceased his walk and frowned. Gu Santong stopped as well and looked back. What is it, godfather? Young Sanzi, don't you feel we've been going in circles? Zhuo Fan looked around and his doubts grew. Damn, it's a bewildering array. Gu Santong's eyes widened and rushed to him. What, a bewildering array? How could I have been fooled by it? Gu Santong pouted. Basing his confidence on his previous shallow experience, he had nothing to fear and smiled. No worry, godfather. See how I punch through it. Gu Santong lifted his small fist and struck. But the usual sight of seeing a ripple level 100 miles of land didn't appear. The ground just shook a bit then quietened. Gu Santong was dispirited. This can't be. This never happened before, not once. Zhuo Fan shook his head, having already guessed it. This was not your average array, but one set up by Heavenly Emperor, one of the 3 strongest emperors of ancient times. If a little monster could simply force his way through, then the Heavenly Emperor would have been an empty title. If he could break this array so easily, what would then be the point of finding some Heavenly Emperor's remnant when I could straight up take this little monster as master instead? Young Sanzi, save your energy. Come here. Zhuo Fan shook his head seeing him punch everywhere. Young Sanzi, I want you to be honest with me. You've never been here before. Gu Santong shook his head puzzled. Zhuo Fan frowned. Then why are you afraid of purple lightning? Did you see it before? I haven't. Gu Santong paused, then shook his head in the end. How strange, this is the first time I'm seeing it, yet I felt instinctual fear towards it. At its thunderclaps, I can't help but shiver. It's not like the common lightning, which I hate but am not scared. This was odd. According to Zhuo Fan, the kid had to have a connection with Lightning Canyon, but now... Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan mulled it over. Can't be. No one has instinctual fear against anyone, not to such extent at least. Was it perhaps ancestral memories? Zhuo Fan asked, Young Sanzi, who is your master to have trained you so powerful? I don't have a master. Then how did you reach the profound heaven stage 3 centuries ago? Now that he stopped to think about it, Gu Santong said, puzzled, I don't know. For as long as I can remember, I've been in the profound heaven stage. I had no one to call a friend, looking for ingredients alone. Zhuo Fan was shocked as a radical conclusion crawled into his mind. What if this kid isn't human? Zhuo Fan licked his dry lips. He himself was scared by that thought. The average human became stronger through diligent cultivation and understanding of the heavenly Tao. But there were some creatures that were naturally strong, like the spiritual beasts. And those that assumed human form were a cut above mere spiritual beasts. Zhuo Fan didn't dare to finish that thought. If it was true, then wasn't the mortal domain, the place unanimously despised by all experts from the sacred domain, a place to be reckoned with? Recalling the mysterious expert in the All-Beast mountain range only worked to strengthen his hypothesis. Godfather, Gu Santong turned his bright eyes to him, I'll use my nose. In the illusory array before, I could see through anything fake with my nose. Nothing can lie my sense of smell. I'll find us a way out in no time. Zhuo Fan shook his head in dismay. It worked outside because there were all kinds of scents coming from outside of the array. But here, beyond all this sand, there's only more sand. If this array had such a weakness, Heavenly Emperor would have been taken for a fool, locked up and had his cell key thrown away. Before he could say anything, Gu Santong wiggled his nose and said, I found something, Godfather. I smell something familiar. What? Zhuo Fan was bug-eyed, letting himself be pulled by the child. After just a few steps, they stopped. He scrunched his nose again and pointed, there's our exit. Zhuo Fan found a 3-inch jutting rock. A kick could send it flying easy. Is this the core of the illusory array? Before he could make sense of it all, Gu Santong jumped over and picked it up. Then collapsed on the side. Whoosh! The surroundings suddenly changed. They were walking downward when the change in scenery came and it was hard to react quickly. This place was but half a mile wide, with a black still sky, but the soil was no longer sand. Instead it was red earth. Zhuo Fan could easily take in the scent of blood. Looking back, he realized they'd been walking in circles not 100 meters from the edge. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan rejoiced, thank God I have Gu Santong with me, or I'd be caught dead wandering the illusory array alone. Then, some sobbing entered his ears. Zhuo Fan looked to Gu Santong leaning on a red pillar and shedding tears. He struck an incredibly sorry figure, with his tear-streaked face. Young Sanzi, what's wrong? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Shaking his head, Gu Santong was trying to hold in his crying, I don't know either. I only picked up its scent and all of a sudden, my heart couldn't bear the sorrow. Startled, Zhuo Fan eyed the red pillar closely. That look alone made him jump in fright. It was hundreds of meters tall, jutting out of the ground like a mountain. It even passed the black sky. The purple lightning not once stopped striking it, making out a scorched sound yet couldn't make a single dent on it. Zhuo Fan clicked his tongue. What is this thing? How can it withstand so many purple lightning strikes without so much as a scratch? The shocker was the stage of the lightning, 12th heaven. The fact this pillar was standing strong even in the face of this, it was bound to be special. Zhuo Fan inwardly smiled, so the heavenly emperor is a fool in the end. Letting such a huge pillar with such an obvious scent, of course someone will find it. Wait. Zhuo Fan caught onto something and sized the pillar in greater detail all while his breathing grew ragged. This scent, the spiritual energy, is mixed with something wild. It must be from a spiritual beast, no, a sacred beast. Zhuo Fan gasped as a chill crawled up his spine. You're telling me this pillar isn't made of metal but from a sacred beast? Zhuo Fan started combing through the 9 Serenities' secret records in his mind. During the ancient times, 5 sacred beasts ruled the skies, undefeated. Not even peak Emperor stage experts could fight them. Their only match were the 3 strongest emperors. The beasts were. And one of the 5 ancient sacred beasts is the soaring Qilin. Zhuo Fan cried out in shock. None of the 10 famous emperors of antiquity ever expected soaring Qilin would end up here. And by the looks of it, it was clearly dead, with only the soaring Qilin's leg still firmly planted in this place. Its killer was no secret either, the owner of the 12th heaven purple lightning gold eye, Heavenly Emperor. Could this perhaps not be the Heavenly Emperor's remnant, but his slaughterhouse instead? Chapter 243, Heavenly Emperor's Ultimate Art, Divine Void Eye. Chapter 243, Heavenly Emperor's Ultimate Art, Divine Void Eye. Bang! The shaking earth pulled Zhuo out of his train of thoughts. He turned to see Gu Santong crying hot tears as he gave his all in shaking the pillar. With the shaking of the pillar, so too did the whole space. The bolts of purple lightning hammered the red curtain, wishing to punch through and turn all of this place into smoldering ashes. Zhuo Fan cried out, "Young Sanzi, what are you doing? The red curtain of light that keeps us alive comes from this soaring Qilin leg. If it falls, we'll die with it. But I can't stand it seeing it struck by the purple lightning. I just can't take the sorrow," Gu Santong sniffed. Startled, Zhuo Fan turned to the Qilin's leg in thought. They say blood is thicker than water. And Gu Santong's every action proved to him that the kid wasn't ordinary. At this point in time, the kid was resonating with the soaring Qilin leg and started crying. Is he perhaps related to one of the 5 ancient sacred beasts, the soaring Qilin? Zhuo Fan sighed and ruffled the kid's hair. "If you do not wish for it to cry from heaven, stop." Gu Santong didn't understand. Zhuo Fan smiled, "It is nothing if I die, but if you die, the pillar would also feel sad. No one wants to see his descendants die in vain." "You mean, he is my kin?" Gu Santong widened his teary eyes in shock. Nodding, Zhuo Fan continued, "You feel unbearable sadness the moment you saw the Qilin leg being struck down by lightning. Don't you think the owner of this leg would feel even sadder its leg couldn't protect you from the purple lightning?" Gu Santong looked at him deeply and no longer attacked the pillar. Suddenly, Zhuo Fan spat blood that scorched the ground again. Gu Santong cried in panic. Zhuo Fan waved his hand bitterly, "The purple lightning keeps ruining my body. I hope to find the art to dispel it in Heavenly Emperor's remnant, but..." Sighing, Zhuo Fan said, "It looks like I survived the entrance only to die inside." "Godfather, you'll be fine, we just became kin." Gu Santong was anxious. He finally found someone who cared for him, only to see him die. Gu Santong was so heartbroken, tears began to fall again. Zhuo Fan shook his head in dismay. He was an evil man who rarely did anything good, yet even so, someone was crying on his deathbed. He felt gratified. The irony here couldn't be more obvious. This godson of his who was crying was gained through tricks and ill intentions. Squinting, Zhuo Fan sighed and put his storage ring on Gu Santong's finger. "Just like a legacy, this ring has many ingredients. Take it. I hope you will grow up fast. With the natural power in your blood, you will one day get out of here." "Godfather," Gu Santong's tears glimmered, touched to the core. Zhuo Fan wiped his tears away and took out the thunder skylark's egg. "After my death, you will be lonely. Take this bird to help you brave the times." He didn't finish as chirping was heard. Zhuo Fan was startled. Are you kidding me? It's hatching now. How? Shriek. With a loud crack the egg burst and revealed the head of a small chick, with lightning streaking it. It looked different from any common thunder skylark, it was purple. And the shocking thing was that the flickering lightning was purple as well. Gu Santong cowered to the side at its sight, while Zhuo Fan stood agape, unfreaking believable. It can use the first heaven purple lightning at birth. This thunder skylark is a variant. Eek. The chick blinked its beady eyes at Zhuo Fan, taking him for its mother. It cried out in joy and flapped its wings as it leaped at him. It couldn't fly yet, having just been born, staggering its frail body over and rubbing its head on him. Zhuo Fan was out of it looking at the blinking chick. Then he cursed, "You little poultry, you got the most out of this trip to Lightning Canyon. A normal thunder skylark can only reach the 6th level with common lightning. But you little cheeky thing got born with purple lightning. I am looking forward to seeing how high you can reach. Godfather, grab it. Don't let it come near me." Gu Santong was hiding behind the Qilin leg and shouting in fear. Zhuo Fan laughed. "Young Sanzi, what are you afraid of? Its purple lightning is only in the first heaven. It can't hurt even me, let alone you. Once I'm gone, you will only have each other to pass the long lonely days here. Don't be afraid, alright? Come here. Since I've cared for this cheeky thing so much, it can be called my son as well. As the big brother, you should come and greet your little brother." Zhuo Fan was being childish. He knew Gu Santong was scared of purple lightning, yet he was now teasing him by making this chick his kin. Gu Santong shook while trembling. Zhuo Fan laughed. I'm not long for this world anyway. Teasing Tianyu's strongest, the invincible scamp, is such a joy. So he put the chick down and pointed it to Gu Santong. The chick gladly accepted his mother's instruction and wobbled with a chirp to Gu Santong. Like a little bro wanting to play with his big bro. But the crackling purple lightning all over its body drove fear straight into Gu Santong. "Beat it, shoo, don't come any closer." Gu Santong threw rocks around the pillar at it. But the chick's gait was as wobbly as it was springy, dodging as it approached. In fact, it thought Big Bro was playing with it and was skipping over in excitement. Gu Santong's pitiful face was on the verge of tears. It kept throwing rocks at it but always missed. Zhuo Fan laughed from the sidelines. Like a grandpa amused by his grandson's antics. Perhaps from being pushed into a corner seeing the rocks were of no help, Gu Santong looked around and noticed something white sticking out. Gu Santong went for it but was shocked to find he couldn't lift it. This was stranger than fiction. With his power, he couldn't lift a small rock. So he stabbed his hand into the dirt and strained into pulling this odd rock. But what came out of the ground was a rock the size of a man, looking funny in the hand of a child like Gu Santong. What's more, the kid found it heavy even for his strength. Zhuo Fan cried out in shock but Gu Santong was in the throes of fear as the chick got ever closer. So he threw it. The chick cried out and flapped its wings. Fear was a powerful motivator and actually made it learn how to fly on the spot. The large rock shook the earth and left a meter-wide hole around it. The chick landed in fright on it, and this time looked at Gu Santong with palpitation. "Big Bro wasn't playing around with me, he truly hates me." Zhuo Fan shook his head at Gu Santong's fuming appearance. He was about to scold him when his eyes snapped to the large rock. He inspected it in detail. The large rock looked like a huge egg, smooth and shiny enough to see one's reflection. But on a closer look one could see light spilling from within, and could even make out the shape of a human. Imparting stone. Zhuo Fan cried out in excitement, "This is an amazing treasure." The imparting stone was exceedingly rare in the sacred domain. It is used by masters to pass down secret arts to their disciples or family members. Usually, the imparting stone would be passed down from the previous clan leader to the next one. The new leader would smash the stone and thus gain the inheritance. The inheriting process also destroys the imparting stone. When the leader reaches the end of his life, he would leave all his knowledge into another imparting stone for the next leader. This way, the legacy of a clan would live on. But never did he think this isolated world would house such a treasure. Whose memories did this imparting stone contain? Was it the Cheelans or heavenly emperors? If they were heavenly emperors, he'd struck gold. It may even contain the way of removing the purple lightning from his body. Zhuo Fan was eager to try it. Young Sanzi, break that rock. Gu Santong thought Zhuo Fan was scolding in a roundabout way. If you're going to scold me, do it to my face. I know I shouldn't use such a large rock on a chick. Since you took it as your son, he is my little brother, so I wouldn't cross the line. But don't use the rock as an excuse. Zhuo Fan laughed. I am content knowing you own up to your mistakes, but I'm not scolding you here. I only want you to help me break that rock so that I may live. Gu Santong's eyes shined and was in glee knowing he could save Zhuo Fan. So with a boom, the imparting stone was blown to pieces by Gu Santong's mighty fist. A multicolored mist drifted out of it. Within it, a human shape appeared, around 20 years old but with a dignified expression. Purple flickered on his left eye while his right eye was as deep as the abyss. Looking any longer, one would feel sucked in. The leader of the 10 ancient emperors, the heavenly emperor. Zhuo Fan gasped. The person was tranquil, his gaze looked ahead but it gave the impression it overlooked all of creation. Junior, as you were fortunate enough to open my imparting stone, you must be kin. I shall impart to you my ultimate magical art, Divine Eye of the Void. Pay close attention. What, the Divine Eye of the Void? I struck the motherlode, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan shuddered from joy and couldn't hold back the laughter. Chapter 244, First Stage of Divine Eye of the Void. Chapter 244, First Stage of Divine Eye of the Void. When people spoke of Heavenly Emperor, one of the 3 strongest ancient emperors, they always mentioned his greatest abilities, the purple lightning gold eye on his left, and the Divine Eye of the Void on his right. The Divine Eye of the Void was also the first magical ability he comprehended when he entered the Emperor stage. It held such unbelievable power that not even purple lightning gold eye could come close. Zhuo Fan was stoked. For fear his 2 brats would interfere, he even gave them a sign to keep quiet, yet his eyes and ears never missed anything the image revealed. This was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Missing a single word would leave him with endless regrets. The Divine Eye of the Void is a supreme ocular magical art. Place your attention on the word void. It is another word for emptiness. Only in emptiness can one have space. And to be one with the emptiness is a virtue. After all space is emptiness and not emptiness at the same time. Heavenly Emperor's image stood tall as he imparted the art. Zhuo Fan didn't even blink, afraid of losing even a minute gesture. Gu Santong and the chick could feel how important this was to Zhuo Fan and stood quietly at the side. For 3 days and 3 nights, Zhuo Fan hadn't moved, hadn't spoken, hadn't even blinked for how engrossed he was. The Heavenly Emperor ended with, I have imparted you with the 12 stages of Divine Eye of the Void. You now hold inside you the power to make our clan supreme, all you need to do is will it. Regarding my second magical art, Purple Lightning Gold Eye, it was born out of this Divine Eye of the Void. If your talent is not lacking, it will come to you with time without having the need to train it. If you lack in any way, seek out the other imparting stone of mine to help you train it. But if you wish to follow in my footsteps and reach my power, stop here. Take what I've given you and use your own abilities to attain comprehension of it. The mist dissipated and the Heavenly Emperor's figure faded away, leaving behind the pieces of the imparting stone. These pieces had now turned to useless hunks of rocks. Zhuo Fan frowned. Gu Santong asked, What's wrong, Godfather? Nothing, just that the last phrase was odd. As if he didn't want his descendant to train in the Purple Lightning Gold Eye. Zhuo Fan's eyes squinted. Gu Santong laughed at the sky and mocked, what does it matter what he wanted? It all comes down to your decision to train or not. Of course I want to. That's one of his masterpieces. Zhuo Fan widened his eyes. Then what are we waiting for? I'll help you search for it. Gu Santong jumped right in to scrounge through the rocks on the ground, looking for another imparting stone. Zhuo Fan shook his head in the end. The Heavenly Emperor didn't want for his descendant to train the Purple Lightning Gold Eye, but deduce it by himself instead of blindingly following the teachings of others. And yet, he was still afraid his descendant was unable to achieve it, so he left the training method for the Purple Lightning Gold Eye behind. Zhuo Fan, however, was not Heavenly Emperor's descendant, so there was no point in abiding by Heavenly Emperor's teachings. Who cares? Waste not, want not. It's here anyway, so I might as well use it. But what struck him as odd was that the image clearly intended to leave it all for his descendant. So how on earth did it end up being taken advantage of by this down-on-his-luck, rebirthed demonic emperor who stumbled his way inside? Looking at the jutting Qilin leg, Zhuo Fan was in deep thought. He, who the hell cares? Since it fell in my lap, if I don't take it, who will? Zhuo Fan grinned, and scoured the place with Gu Santong. The chick was skipping around at the side, chirping oddly. What is daddy and bro doing? Looking for worms to eat? The chick hopped into the fun. An hour later, most of the place was turned upside down, but no sign of anything that remotely resembled another imparting stone. Zhuo Fan was curious, does this place have only the divine eye of the void imparting stone? Then he face-bombed and cursed, I'm such a fool. How could he forget about Long Jiu? Long Jiu said he'd been sucked into the purple lightning storm, and punched everywhere. In sheer coincidence he entered through the gap in the array and smashed the purple lightning gold eyes imparting stone by chance. So when he was listening to that strange voice he'd been training purple lightning gold eye without even realizing. But in his frantic state, he forgot the training method to the art, thus making the art lost. Zhuo Fan shook his head, I can't decide if it was bad luck or dumb luck. His dumb luck was because of the ridiculously low chance of any of those events ever happening to him. Furthermore, in a row too. And bad luck since he was clearly being taught an ultimate skill, yet, he was too much of a chicken to keep it together to remember it. Zhuo Fan sighed, then recalled Heavenly Emperor's words. It may perhaps be a blessing in disguise. Young Sanzi, we can stop now. The purple lightning gold eye isn't fated for me. Let it go. Zhuo Fan sighed and chuckled. Gu Santong said, concerned, but can you alleviate your wounds with only that divine eye of the void? As the saying goes, whoever started something must also have a way of ending it. The purple lightning is harming you, so the purple lightning gold eye must cure you as well. Zhuo Fan shuddered, felt warm and fuzzy inside. He only wanted the purple lightning gold eye to boost his power. But Gu Santong's main priority was to cure him. I may have cheated him into the fold, but he's starting to really grow on me. It's of no importance. The divine eye of the void is enough to cure me. Zhuo Fan smiled and beckoned his two sons over. Gu Santong still felt somewhat repelled by the purple lightning chick, but he was doing his best to accept this little bro of his. Zhuo Fan patted their heads and spoke solemnly, young Sanzi, and you too little bird, I'll just call you Chiaoer. Your dad is going to set up an array and enter seclusion to heal and train. I do not know when I'll come out. You will be staying here, but don't wander off outside of the light's curtain. Worry not, Godfather, I won't. Gu Santong waved, his face showing fear as he looked at the purple lightning outside. But Chiaoer cocked its head, oblivious. Zhuo Fan had no time to explain, handing it over in Gu Santong's care as he immediately set up an array. He sat cross-legged in its center and closed his eyes. Months flashed by. The next thing he knew when he opened his eyes was that still purple lightning-streaked sky. The change he felt inside was the only testament time even passed. With an incredible release of power, his right eye sported a golden ring flashing on and off, with streaks of purple flickering now and then. He removed the array with a sweep of the hand and Zhuo Fan stood up. You're out. A childish voice came from behind. Godfather, are you cured now? Of course. Zhuo Fan smiled, and turned to Gu Santong, not only cured, but new and improved. Now we can leave this place. I will show both of you my power as we fly out of here. Face twitching, Gu Santong sighed. Godfather, when you boast, at least make it reasonable. You took 5 years to get to the 9th layer of bone tempering stage. How can you fly us out when you're not even in the profound heaven stage? I actually have more hope on Xiaoer. Gu Santong pointed at the sky and shouted, Xiaoer, Dad is out. Shriek. With a sharp cry, a 3-meter-long purple bird was soaring above the red curtain. The endless booms of purple lightning struck its body but could do nothing to it. Zhuo Fan went slack-jawed. Is that Xiaoer? He's already a 4th-level spiritual beast and can produce 4th heaven purple lightning. But how is it that the 12th heaven purple lightning outside has no effect on him? I was also worried at first, but he must be of the same nature as the purple lightning. Gu Santong shrugged. Those purple lightning never once harmed him. He absorbs them by instinct and then releases it without any consequences. Zhuo Fan was blinking in shock. My godson is a monster, and my spiritual beast is also a goddamn freak of nature. Not even a 12th heaven purple lightning phases him. But that's only obvious. I reckon I have also stepped into the ranks of monsters. I may have been called a monster by others, but now, I'm sure I can even surprise young Sanzi, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan turned his smiling face to Gu Santong. Young Sanzi, did you eat all the ingredients I gave you? Ages ago, and Xiaoer ate half. I haven't had an ingredient to eat for 3 years now and couldn't get out as well. I'm starving here. Gu Santong rubbed his stomach dejected. Zhuo Fan patted his shoulder. No worries, Dad will take you out now. Yeah, right. A 9th layer bone tempering cultivator. Even if you did have to heal first, you're too slow in advancing. Gu Santong teased, then sighed. My hopes are all on Xiaoer. He isn't afraid of purple lightning, and once he finds the right way out of here, he'll bring me plenty of ingredients. He. Zhuo Fan's face sank. How can I let a son look down on his father? So he coughed to get Gu Santong's attention. Young Sanzi, how can you be so cruel to your old man? You're making me look bad. Come, throw me a punch. I will show you what I can do. Cultivation isn't everything. Gu Santong looked at him oddly. Dad, be serious. Not even a radiant stage expert can take my punch. Cut the chatter and bring it on. I said that I'll show you my power, and that's what I'll do. Zhuo Fan shouted. Gu Santong sighed and extended a finger. Dad is so stubborn that I have no choice but play with him. Sigh, I just hope I don't overdo it. Gu Santong simply flicked. A ripple shot like an arrow straight for Zhuo Fan. Gu Santong had controlled his power to the bare minimum, but Zhuo Fan couldn't even take this lightly. Yet he was standing there unfazed for the attack to approach swiftly. Watch out, Godfather! Gu Santong cried in panic. Why didn't I hold back more? Even if Dad is a body cultivator, his level is just too low, and this will leave him a pulp. His shock didn't end there as Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed golden and vanished into thin air. When he appeared, he was behind Gu Santong. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage. Zhuo Fan snickered. Gu Santong was shocked. Because the moment Zhuo Fan was gone, he lost all traces of him. Not just sight, but smell and hearing as well. All senses failed to detect him, as if he was no longer in this world. This can't be. Chapter 245, Getting Out. Chapter 245, Getting Out. Young Sanzi, here comes my punch. Before Gu Santong could get his wits about him, Zhuo Fan shouted. Gu Santong mocked in the end, Dad, dodging is easy, but punching. Starting with a flicker, a purple lightning shot for him. Gu Santong's eyes widened and instinct screamed at him to dodge behind the pillar with a jump. The lightning crossed space in a flash, striking the pillar with a boom. Gu Santong peeked out and saw Zhuo's fist wrapped in purple lightning. Gee Godfather, how can you use purple lightning? Ha ha ha, that's thanks to Divine Eye of the Void. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand, being smug after seeing young Sanzi's reaction. He finally got to show off in front of his godlike adopted son of his. The Divine Eye of the Void pays emphasis on the void part. Its main use is control over space. The first stage allows me to switch places anywhere in my soul search's range. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed golden and Gu Santong's ring appeared on his finger, allows me complete control over inanimate items, changing their location. Ha ha ha, young Sanzi, since you ate all ingredients from it you won't be needing my storage ring anymore. Even Gu Santong couldn't help but gawk at the explanation and display of such an outstanding art. This was the first time in the life of Invincible Scamp to show such a shocked face. Won't that make you invincible, since no one can hit you? Gu Santong blinked. Scratching his chin, Zhuo Fan nodded, you can say that, but not quite either. If the first stage of Divine Eye of the Void is so invincible, what would be the point of the remaining 11 stages? In truth, this is only control over space. If space is sealed, or I'm inside another space, I'm finished. Then what's with the purple lightning? How? Gu Santong stammered. Zhuo Fan grinned and his right eye flashes purple. After training Divine Eye of the Void to the first stage, my right eye can open up a pocket dimension. Those purple lightning remnants that wrecked my body and couldn't be removed are now stored in that pocket dimension. To use them at my discretion. That is why I said cultivation isn't everything. I may have used most of my time on healing and comprehending the first stage of Divine Eye of the Void, but true power is a whole other matter. Zhuo Fan grinned, leaving Gu Santong dumbfounded. Despite Zhuo Fan not having gone through immense changes in the past 5 years, training in a remarkable art turned him into a freak nonetheless. If Gu Santong hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Going out like this, he'd be like a wolf hiding among sheep, ready to strike at any so-called expert out there. Who'd ever suspect a 9th layer of bone-tempering cultivator to have such an insane trump card? Then what of the second stage, Godfather? Let me see it. Gu Santong was eager to witness even more of Divine Eye of the Void's power. Blushing, Zhuo Fan coughed drily, Divine Eye of the Void is very hard to understand. Even I only learned the first stage after so long. Gu Santong's face sank in disappointment before he even finished. Zhuo Fan scratched his head, helpless. The kid's face changes tune faster than the weather. But then he said something that brightened Gu Santong's day, but since this space has the same origin as my Divine Eye of the Void, we can now leave this place. Young Sanzi, you'll get to eat more ingredients. Awesome. Gu Santong jumped 10 feet in joy, already back to his cheerful self. He heard Zhuo Fan say that before but didn't believe him one bit. Now, after Zhuo Fan's demonstration, he was very much a believer. Xiaoer also flew before Zhuo Fan and circled Zhuo Fan in jubilation. Zhuo Fan laughed and repeated his explanation before showing his thunder ring. Don't resist as I place you in my ring. We will then shortly leave this place and get you out. Xiaoer flapped its wings in joy. It felt very close to the thunder ring since it was refined from its mother and entered it without complaint. Gu Santong was hesitating. Godfather, wait a moment. Gu Santong turned to the pillar, fell to his knees and knocked his head on the ground 3 times, tears streaming down his face. I do not know who you are, but I know you're my kin. I don't know how you died, but I feel heartbroken over your death. I am leaving now, leaving you alone. Take care of yourself. Gu Santong wiped his face and went to Zhuo Fan. He didn't look back, in fear he might not want to ever leave. Putting Gu Santong in the ring, Zhuo Fan looked at the pillar inside, soaring Qilin, I am not a good man, and I do not wish to go between you and the Heavenly Emperor. As a soaring Qilin, you're a heaven-sent ingredient for me. How could I not want you? But, as this child's godfather, I still hope I can ease his pain. Sighing, Zhuo Fan's eye flashed with light and struck the pillar. With a bang, the pillar swayed and fell. With its collapse, the red curtain vanished as well. The purple lightning above the black sky rushed to Zhuo Fan like jackals, wishing to tear him limb from limb. But Zhuo Fan was calm as ever. He placed the Qilin leg in his ring, then his golden eye flashed, right as the purple lightning was about to hit him, vanishing from this world. The next thing he knew, he was outside the hole he used to enter into this space. But the lightning didn't hit him as he vanished again. Thus, in the sea of purple lightning, a flash of golden could be seen on and off, growing further and further away. And the purple lightning could do nothing to stop it. When they reached the edge of the lightning canyon, Zhuo Fan's golden eye flashed one more time. Whoosh! His last stop was in a thick forest. Looking up, the bright moon hung in the sky, bathing this corner of the world in its moonlight. Finally out, but where am I? Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan tasted freedom again. With Lightning Canyon wandering the continent, he was hard-pressed to pinpoint his exact location. Who cares anyway? It's fine as long as I'm out. He took Gu Santong and Xiao out of his ring, and the kid was ecstatic to finally be out again. This was Xiao's first time seeing the real world, and cried in joy. It flew everywhere, curious to explore it. Young Sanzi, I have a gift for you. Zhuo Fan showed the kid a tender smile. Gu Santong asked ecstatic, what, did you have more hidden ingredients in your ring? Zhuo Fan shook his head, you little twerp, you picked my ring clean of them. Where could I find any? I think you will find this far more attractive. Zhuo Fan then showed the Qilin leg that was still flickering with lightning. Gu Santong had tears in his eyes as he expressed his gratitude, you got it out. Of course. I know how much you care for it and don't want it to be hacked by purple lightning. Since I have the power, of course I'll help you. Thank you. Gu Santong wiped his tears and bowed deeply. Zhuo Fan was truly the spitting image of his former godfather, bearing the same amount of care for him as well. He valued Zhuo Fan far more greatly now, more than even his real parents. This perhaps was one of Zhuo Fan's very rare acts of kindness. He always looked at Gu Santong and thought how to use him. But the kid's pure heart touched him, making fatherly love blossom in his cruel and dead heart. Gu Santong went to the Qilin leg, felt its rough surface and even hugged it, feeling the warmth. He then came to Zhuo Fan with a request, Godfather, will you look after it for a while? Why won't you? Zhuo Fan asked, but saw Gu Santong's sad face and could easily guess. Gu Santong was forced into a promise to defend the imperial capital and wasn't even allowed to eat the ingredients he liked so much. How could he be allowed a storage ring then? It would soon be discovered and confiscated if he took it with him. Zhuo Fan sighed, all right, but you best take care and not be so hard on yourself. If you ever find yourself in mortal danger, forget about that promise. Your life is more important. Yes. Gu Santong smiled brightly. Zhuo Fan returned his smile and stashed the Qilin leg away. By the way, Godfather. It's been 5 years since I was allowed to leave the imperial capital. I need to report back, but where will you go? At the moment of their separation, Gu Santong still felt reluctant to leave. Taking a deep breath, Zhuo Fan put on a diabolical grin, since it's been 5 years, it's the right time for the esoteric debate to start. I'm going there to liven the mood. Let's see if those legendary Regent Estate freaks can live up to the expectation, ha ha ha. Chapter 246, Emergence of Dragons. Chapter 246, Emergence of Dragons. Drifting Flowers City, at the entrance to the stone room behind Drifting Flowers edifice. Grandmother, with Iris and Peony Overseer, were waiting. Under the warm sunlight, among the refreshing chirping, they were the only ones whose faces showed no change, their eyes fixed on the stone door. Rumble. With a heavy sound, the heavy stone door opened and 4 figures emerged. The first wore a silk cover, but her delicate figure and her graceful poise couldn't be hidden. Her eyes were enough to make anyone in the world flustered and intoxicated by her beauty. And behind her were 3 old women. They looked calm, but clearly excited. Chu Bijuan's brow jumped and she sent 3 silver needles at the woman. But the woman only lifted her delicate hand casually. A sudden chill came then and a wall of cold mist formed. The 3 needles rapidly lost speed and ended up falling on the ground into frozen pieces. Grandmother sighed in praise, "Qingcheng, you've greatly improved, as if reborn. If not for neglecting cultivation for the past decade, you'd be no weaker than the other houses chosen in the esoteric debate." Indeed, this person who came out after a long 5 years of seclusion was Chu Qingcheng. She was no longer as weak as she was 5 years ago. She was like a towering glacier, worthy of the title Ascending Ice Phoenix. "You're too kind, Grandmother. It is all thanks to our 3 venerables helping day and night with my training. I am grateful, venerables." Chu Qingcheng slightly bowed at the 3 old women behind her, and so did Grandmother and the overseers. The venerables spoke, "It is the least we could do as Drifting Flowers Edifice's venerables. Qingcheng's talent is remarkable, only needing to stimulate her potential. She did the rest." The 4 once again bowed, and the venerables closed the stone door with a wave. Chu Bijuan walked to Chu Qingcheng and looked her up and down. "8th layer of profound heaven stage, good. We will show the world the power of Drifting Flowers Edifice in this esoteric debate." Chu Bijuan's eyes shined. Iris Overseer smiled, "With Qingcheng, we will show them who Drifting Flowers Edifice is. Let's see them try to take women lightly again." "Ha ha ha, true, but," Chu Bijuan frowned, "we must also make our standing clear. We must strike at Regent Estate's arrogance in this esoteric debate. Or they will strike back at us many times harder. Yes, that is why, Qingcheng, you must work together with Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquis Abode, our 2 allies. I have talked with them and have reached an agreement." Iris Overseer said, "As 4 of your opponents, Pill King Hall, Hell Valley, and Merry Woods, they have all sided with Regent Estate. The 7 noble houses are now split in 2 factions. This is why the esoteric debate this time will be so much crueler, so much more savage." Chu Qingcheng frowned in worry. "Regent Estate's monster, Huangpu Qingtian, is hard to deal with already. And now that we are 3 against 4. Ha ha ha, don't worry. It will definitely be 4 against 4. I heard that the Luo clan will be joining in as well. They were but a 3rd-rate clan before and must be planning on standing abreast to us by passing the first 2 rounds of elimination. I wonder though, who'll they be sending?" Grandmother considered. Chu Qingcheng's eyes lit up. "Luo clan will come." Already clear on who Chu Qingcheng had her mind on, Grandmother shook her head. "It's unclear if he will be there as well. He's been missing for 5 years already. It is a bad omen. Not even his clansmen know about his whereabouts. So the support we can expect from the Luo clan is minimal." "What, he's gone? How? Why?" Chu Qingcheng didn't care if the Luo clan helped them, and was only worried about Zhuo Fan. Grandmother shook her head. "Such deep love is like a poison, making one forget even oneself." Iris Overseer sighed. "I heard he was last sighted where Lightning Canyon appeared 5 years ago. Then, he vanished. We can only assume." Chu Qingcheng trembled and shot down that idea. "Impossible, he will be fine." Peony Overseer cursed instead, "That foul and ungrateful prick, how does his fate have anything to do with us? He didn't value your feelings, not one bit." Chu Qingcheng's eyes grew hazy, her heart in a mess. Grandmother spoke gravely. Qingcheng, whether he comes or not, I hope you will keep your distance from him. I met him once. His ambition is unhealthy, much greater than we can imagine. Such a man is very attractive, but also one who can easily harm women. In his heart, women are burdens. Beings he finds no value in. For your own sake, don't get too close. Chu Qingcheng was silent, alone with the bitterness in her heart. But I can no longer go back. In another part, deep in Sword Marquis's abode, there lay a stone gate on the verge of opening. Two youths came from within, Xia Tianyang and a youth with white temples. His eyes were cold like a blade. There was also the on and off flicker in his eyes, but if one looked, he'd feel two sharp swords stabbing him. The pain would be too much to keep one's eyes focused on him. He was none other than Sword Marquis's abode's leading talent, Xia Tianyang's elder brother, one of the 6 dragons, golden armored sword dragon Xia Tianshang. Tianshang, Tianyang, you're out. Xia Xiaofeng laughed and patted their shoulders. Xia Tianyang snickered, Dad, I've mastered our house's entire martial art, flowing space's 9 forms. I can now marry Ninger. Xia Tianshang gave a curt nod, walking past Xia Xiaofeng into the training area. I'm off to practice. Later. Xia Xiaofeng felt helpless watching his sons. The eldest was a martial fanatic, always thinking about training, never getting close with anyone. While the second was a love-struck fool, the only thing on his mind was marriage. If he hadn't been smart and tricked him into lifting the sword for her, he probably never would have had. Xia Xiaofeng sighed, it'd be great if they were combined into one. Jian Suifeng came from behind, abode lord, don't worry, Tianyang's temper will smooth over time. As for Tianshang, he only has one person in mind. He won't stop until he defeats that person. You mean the Regent Estate's monster? Xia Xiaofeng sighed, forget it, I don't want my son to tangle with that monster. It will only bring us shame. Jian Suifeng nodded and sighed. In another part, in the rear gardens of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, a youth in fine green clothes was taking a walk and showed an infatuated look, ah, the air is so much better outside. Bliss. Eldest young master. Long Jiu rushed over anxious, when did you get out? Why wasn't I informed of this? He, if you had you'd be throwing some congratulatory feast to ruin my mood. It was better to come here and get some peace. The youth's smile turned odd, by the way, Uncle Jiu, what of little Kuei and little Jie? How come I don't see them? Ha, they're hard at training. When will they come out? The youth asked. With a vague chuckle, Long Jiu said, eldest young master, you've been in seclusion for a decade. There are many things you have missed. If you'd have witnessed the Battle of Drifting Flowers edifice, you'd have been as stimulated as them. What do you mean? The youth rose an eyebrow. But Long Jiu only smiled in response, kids these days won't work hard without a well-placed stimulus. Similar occurrences happened in the other houses as the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix came out of seclusion to join the esoteric debate. Especially in Caged Dragon City, people gathered outside a secret room on the mountain behind Regent Estate. As the stone gate moved, 2 people were made known to all. One was a calm youth, his every step at ease and firm. His incredible air made even the profound heaven elders step back in shock. Behind him was High Venerable Huangpu Fenglei with pride in his eyes. High Venerable, any progress? Huangpu Tianyuan asked. Huangpu Fenglei caressed his beard with a smile, I oversaw his training personally. He is the pinnacle in the world, second to none. High Venerable, that is hardly the case. The youth's cold tone came in rebuke, my current self isn't taught on, only my nature. And father, your words are pointless. Shuddering, everyone watched Huangpu Tianyuan speak with such crass and lack of manners. Yet all nodded, this is the air of a lord. Taking a deep breath, Huangpu Tianyuan chuckled, seeing you so confident, I won't ask any further. I believe that in the esoteric debate you will bring shock on everyone's faces. Let them see that regent estate's power shrouds the 7 houses. Father, you're wrong again. I am not confident, just my nature. I do not need to amaze them for regent estate to shroud the houses. My very arrival turns it into reality. The unification of the 7 houses, that impossible matter, will be completed with my ascension. Huangpu Qingtian was calm and someone rushed to put a golden cape over his shoulder. His natural grace and demeanor looked down on every single being. Even Huangpu Tianyuan felt anger inside. The youth was clearly unfilial. But this was regent estate, and they trained themselves to have lordly flares. It didn't matter if the father and son fought over the estate lord position, what mattered was the ability to have it. One's leadership applied to the entire house, even to the estate lord. Leng Wuchang came to Huangpu Tianyuan and bowed, "Eldest young master, it is good to be confident, but one must also be wary in every taken action, lest you'd meet with utter failure." "Oh, and where are you going with this?" Huangpu Tianyuan glanced by. Smiling, Leng Wuchang said, "A fiend had recently appeared in Tianyu, by the name of Zhuo Fan. It pushed back the 7 houses and killed dozens of our elders. Even the second young master fell victim. I heard he will be joining in the esoteric debate. Please remain cautious, eldest young master." Humph, second brother was worthless. He got what he deserved, killed by a nobody. As for those elders, they are even bigger fools. But for that kid to kill so many and still live, that makes you the biggest fools of all. Are you telling me he's as invincible as that Gu Santong from 300 years ago? Huangpu Qingtian snapped coldly. Leng Wuchang shook his head. Gu Santong is a monster seen perhaps once a millennia. But he is not like Gu Santong. Gu Santong may be unbridled, but gullible. While that kid's treachery runs deep, expert at gathering people to stand by his side. The reason why we've failed to get his head is because 3 houses have formed an alliance with him. He is also relying on one of the 4 pillars, war god Dugu Zhantian, and even the imperial family is protecting him. Our hands were tied. Oh, a schemer you say? Shaking his head, Huangpu Qingtian said, "Fine then, since you're all so worthless, I will personally end that man in the esoteric debate. Eldest young master, please exercise extreme caution. Every single one that has underestimated the kid has died in agony." Leng Wuchang bowed, but his words earned a snort from Huangpu Qingtian. "Sir Leng, I admire your talent greatly, but please, do not lump me together with you fools. By the way, once I have that kid's head, the title of estate lord." "Oh, father, isn't it about time for you to step down?" Trembling, Huangpu Tianyuan's face was a mask of darkness and rage. This was his good son, the strongest talent in the 7 houses, the head of the 6 dragons, one that at this crucial time, was only thinking of how to snatch his father's position, the heaven-shaking dragon Lord Huangpu Qingtian. Chapter 247, The Biggest Underdog. Chapter 247, The Biggest Underdog. June 22, 2021. Index. 5 months later, at the imperial capital, the emperor was reviewing reports in the study. Suddenly, a black figure knelt at his side. Hands cupped in respect, black figure spoke, "Your Majesty, Dragon Cloud City's report on the Luo clan has come." "Deliver." The emperor spoke, but didn't spare the man a glance. The man offered the report with both hands. The emperor took one glance at it and threw it back into the man's face. "Every damn report over the past 5 years has been either all quiet or all normal. The Luo clan is set to make waves in the esoteric debate, but where is that bone-tempering stage kid? How the hell are you even getting your intelligence? Please soothe your anger, Your Majesty. I've been at fault." The man was on the ground in a blink, shaking like a leaf. The emperor caressed his beard, but the fire in his eyes was like a smoldering volcano. Oddly enough, he soon restored his calm. Yet this only worked to instill greater fear in the man's bones. Is there anything on that Fan? The emperor's tone was cold. The man shook his head. Nothing, your majesty. And what of divine dragon Gu Santong? The emperor followed. The man was on the verge of tears. Unknown, your majesty. You've been searching for 5 years but can't find anything about Fan. That rampant guy Gu Santong must still be stirring trouble somewhere, and yet you can't even find a trace of him. Humph, why am I even raising you worthless mongrels? You can't do anything. The emperor's eyes flashed with bloodthirst. The man kowtowed 3 times, pleading, Your Majesty, please quell your anger. I am incompetent. Please spare me. Out. The emperor flicked his sleeve. The man kowtowed 3 more times and bolted. Thank you, Your Majesty, thank you. The emperor took a deep breath and lifted his head. Gu Santong and Fan are missing. Can this piece of information even be trusted? Did they perish in the Lightning Canyon? It's fine if Gu Santong is gone from this world. It might actually be a blessing. But Fan? He is yet to fulfill his task. His death would be such a waste. But this boy brings too many surprises. He lifted up a wretched third-rate clan to one that is brimming with power. A miracle really. But I just can't tell if the Luo clan can still complete the task without Fan, ha ha ha. The emperor chuckled quite cheerfully, like a sly rogue. Just then, a guard fell to his knees before the emperor. Your Majesty, divine dragon Gu Santong has returned. Ugh. The laughter came to a grunting stop, and the emperor sighed. Understood. But his good mood was gone. Ah, the worst trouble is yet to come. Meanwhile, before the great gates of a city, a familiar figure appeared. He looked up and read the imposing words on the wall, Dragon Cloud City. Rumor had it that the imperial family, Yuan clan's efforts to raise an army to found the empire in historic times all began from this place. As such, every single esoteric debate was held here. I got held up for too long in the Lightning Canyon. I hope I made it in time. Hope those guys didn't get themselves wiped out again. Fan sighed under his black cloak as he entered the city. There were soldiers all around the city, but that did not stop anyone from milling about. This city after all was a gathering place of the empire's most distinguished houses and clans. Everyone was free to come and go or even join the esoteric debate if they wished. But the army was tasked with breaking any conflicts among these clans, most of all among the 7 houses. Once a fight broke out, it was easy to plunge the entire empire into unrest. This made the soldiers stationed here ready to act at a moment's notice. The only one in the whole empire able to shake the 7 houses was none other than the second of the 4 pillars and Tianyu's marshal, god of war, Dugu Zhantian. Though meeting this big man was the last thing on Fan's mind. Inside the city, Fan was shocked. The place was packed, like a sea of people. It was more packed than Drifting Flowers City at the time of the 100-pill meeting. Then again, how many clans did the 100-pill meeting attract? The esoteric debate, however, drew in all the clans that hoped for a swift rise to fame and power. The difference was obvious. He didn't have the time to let the sights distract him. His top priority was to get back to the Luo clan and ascertain the situation. But only after a few steps, a ruckus entered his ears. Windgaze City's Luo clan has landed their 27th win, advancing into the second-rate clan's finals and becoming this esoteric debate's biggest underdog. Raising an eyebrow, Fan looked towards the speaker but only found a small tavern. So he stepped in to learn more. The thick smell of wine and clamor struck his face the moment he stepped in. Some guys with bare arms were shouting and waving their fists around, God only knew why. There was a betting table in the tavern and a score table on the far wall had the name of every clan on it. People at the table were constantly placing bets. Of course, not everyone was betting. Fan saw that the board had the 7 houses' names on it as well as their representative genius. Ascending Ice Phoenix, drifting flowers edifice, forest fleeting dragon, merry woods, golden armored sword dragon, sword marquise abode. Zhuo Fan muttered every word, but then he screamed, soaring demonic dragon, black wind mountain. Who the hell came up with this? The dealer from the table saw Zhuo Fan amazed and smirked. Hey dummy, what hole did you crawl out of? Haven't you ever heard of Windgaze City's Luo clan on Black Wind Mountain? Of their soaring demonic dragon Zhuo Fan? Zhuo Fan's mouth was agape. He scratched his head. When did this soaring black dragon stuff get started? Seeing his puzzlement, the dealer sighed, you're really ignorant. When Demon Archon Zhuo Fan wrecked Drifting Flowers City, everyone and their uncles learnt about him. Now that we know he represents the Luo clan in the esoteric debate, of course he stands on par with the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. This is why people call him Soaring Demonic Dragon. Apparently, it is the name of the martial art he used. Bullshit. A buffed guy started arguing, complete and utter bullshit. The Demon Archon Zhuo Fan did use the Soaring Demonic Dragon in Drifting Flowers City to kill Regent Estate's second young master, but his nickname has a totally different meaning. His Soaring Demonic Dragon title implies that he wants to break through to heaven and challenge the 7 houses' 1,000-year-long authority. You know nothing. So don't go about talking rubbish. Zhuo Fan nodded, finding this second explanation far more plausible. God damn it. Who the hell dares to say that heaven stands above me? I'll rip them to pieces. This is more my style. Ha ha ha, yours truly like Soaring Demonic Dragon. But his joy ended as soon as the dealer barked back, cut the crap. Demon Archon Zhuo Fan may be great, but do you think he has it in him to contest the 7 houses? The 7 houses' status in Tianyu has been unshaken for 1,000 years. Haven't you heard? Luo clan has the Sword Marquise abode, Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Drifting Flowers edifice backing them. I reckon that even if the Luo clan climbs high enough to enter the fight between the 7 houses, it will only fight as a vassal clan of the 3 houses. Bam! Zhuo Fan slapped the table, his face twisted in grimace. Who the hell told you that Luo clan is their vassal? Get your head straight. Luo clan will become an independent clan, competing on the same level as the 7 houses. It will not cower behind some other house for safety. Just wait and watch. The two looked at Zhuo Fan puzzled. What's his connection with the Luo clan? Why is he so fired up in protecting this underdog? But they didn't have the time to talk back and curse Zhuo Fan for being a mental case as an aged voice laughed, ha ha ha, indeed. Luo clan should aim for the best clan and challenge the unwritten rule that has held on for millennia. If not, like every single time, the esoteric debate would end with only the 7 houses competing. Wouldn't that be too boring? Shuddering, Zhuo Fan looked back to see 3 elders. Every one of them was wearing a cloak to hide their features. The elder in the middle revealed his piercing eyes and grinned, Steward Zhuo, I've long wished to meet you, my soul brother. I am Prime Minister Zhuge Changfeng. Care to join me for a chat? Zhuo Fan's eyes widened and he looked at him deeply. He never thought that the head of the 4 pillars, Zhuge Changfeng, would personally grace him with his presence. Glancing at the 2 elders on his sides, from their mighty aura, he could tell they were rare experts. With a deep breath, Zhuo Fan nodded. Zhuge Changfeng grinned and made a flourish. The 2 then walked side by side to a table. The 2 elders stood behind Zhuge Changfeng and their eyes flashed, sending an energy to envelop the table. The noise around them slowly ceased and their words were never heard by the people outside. Yet to the untrained eye, the 4 looked like they were having a casual chat. The dealer and the big man looked baffled for a minute and then ignored them. Zhuo Fan was shocked and became wary of the 2 elders. No average Radiant stage expert could just set up a barrier so casually. Not even a peak one. The 2 must have trained in some special cultivation method. They weren't to be taken lightly. Thinking about Zhuge Changfeng, he may only be in the 2nd layer of the profound heaven stage, but he was surrounded by many powerful people. He was a man no one from the 7 houses dared underestimate. His name as the head of the 4 pillars was well deserved. Chapter 248, Wise Men's Talk. Chapter 248, Wise Men's Talk. Steward Zhuge, you must be wondering why I was looking for you. Zhuge Changfeng's beard trembled. Zhuge Fan nodded, but his only reply was a fixed stare. Zhuge Changfeng held him in greater admiration. In fact, just by answering, Zhuge Fan would have fallen in his trap. Regardless of the content, Zhuge Fan's reply would have given him the rights to lead the conversation and, ultimately, Zhuge Fan by the nose. But Zhuge Fan kept silent, thus keeping his right to speak. It may be some minor detail, but to a leader of Zhuge Changfeng's stature, it was very important. Right of speech translated into power. If one's right to speak was taken away, then that person was at a disadvantage. On this aspect, Zhuge Changfeng was an expert, and he admired Zhuge Fan's response greatly. Steward Zhuge, your rumors do not do you justice. I am in awe after meeting you. Prime Minister Zhuge is exaggerating. Your illustrious name has given me far more shock. Zhuge Fan laughed. Zhuge Changfeng sighed, wise men speak plainly. Let us dispense with the tricks. Or we'll be at it for 3 days and still not finish. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister Zhuge is quite open, so I shall do the same. Zhuge Fan nodded cheerfully. Zhuge Changfeng went straight to the point. Steward Zhuge, I fear that someone may have instigated the Luo clan's participation in the esoteric debate. Oh, what makes you say that? Zhuge Fan raised an eyebrow. Zhuge Changfeng replied, we are both men who look at things from all perspectives. I am certain that with you as its steward, Luo clan's rise beyond the 7 houses would only be a matter of time. But your coming out in the open has been far too soon. With Steward Zhuge's cunning, I believe you are not a man looking for short-term gain. I surmise that you've been forced, or perhaps, lured into a choice that you could not refuse. Zhuge Fan was impressed. Zhuge Changfeng is amazing, able to understand everything. Indeed, Luo clan jumping into the esoteric debate and starting a fight with the 7 houses was far too soon. Earlier he was quite pleased with Luo clan's power, but even he couldn't be as bold as to declare that this fight was a sure win. He chose this situation so he wouldn't lose the imperial family's support, or worse, offend them instead. Saying that he was lured was accurate. Forced. Also correct. These assumptions were both correct. Above all, Luo clan's power coming out in the open at this moment allowed Zhuge Changfeng, possibly the only person in the empire, to surmise that Luo clan would one day surpass the 7 houses. This guess couldn't be called brazen, but calamitous. And Zhuge Fan was hoping to see the day when Luo clan would reach such a level. But now, no one out there would ever believe it, except Zhuge Changfeng. Even Zhuge Fan had to admire his foresight. If it were anywhere else, even he wouldn't make such an absurd guess. Head of the 4 pillars, Prime Minister Zhuge is truly wise. I admire you. Zhuge Fan's flattery was sincere. Zhuge Changfeng chuckled, Steward Zhuge is too kind. This old bag of bones has been soaked in this world for far too many years, thus gaining some thoughts about its revolutions. I fall utterly short to young Steward Zhuge wisdom. Carrying on your shoulders, the honor of the entire clan, you've earned my respect, ha ha ha. Then Prime Minister Zhuge is saying. To watch your back. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes shined, his voice solemn. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuge Fan looked a little lost. Clearly knowing his heart, Zhuge Changfeng chuckled, I can tell what Steward Zhuge is thinking. Yes, my words are full of suspicion. Who on earth would be so selfless, so caring for their fellow neighbor? And yes, I have a reason. But rest assured, Steward Zhuge, you are not my enemy. In fact, he may very well be yours too. Oh, care to elaborate? Zhuge Fan started. Zhuge Changfeng twirled his white mustache, his eyes shining. I am sure Steward Zhua is more than familiar with the saying, when two fight the third wins. So will you be among the first two, or the third? Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. I'm sure the wise Steward Zhua has caught on my meaning by now. Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan looked him in the eye and showed a broad smile. Zhuge Changfeng read his intent, and only smiled in reply. The two shared a smile full of countless implications, and nodded. Ha ha ha, talking with smart guys is so refreshing and easy. Steward Zhua, I have said my piece and I'll be leaving. But before I do, please be kind enough to fulfill this selfish request of mine and explain something to me. Zhuge Changfeng rose to his feet and cupped his hands. Zhuo Fan smiled. I don't see why not. I am the Empire's Prime Minister, Leng Wuchang is the Regent Estate's steward, and you sir are Luo clan's steward. This makes the three of us cut from the same cloth, with each of us scheming and lording over people. Myself and Leng Wuchang are both selfish, and luckily our interests are shared for now, and not set on a colliding path. But considering your talent, why would you pick the Luo clan? I can tell that sir is not doing this out of sympathy, or any kind of feelings. It escapes my capacity to understand. Zhuo Fan's eyes trembled and he took a deep breath, before showing a crafty smile and emphasizing every word, because my ambition is far greater than yours. The head of the four pillars, for the first time, trembled and his fists clenched. The Yin-Yang elders saw this and for the first time looked at Zhuo Fan with shock and ill intent. The thick bloodthirst they oozed couldn't be concealed. But Zhuo Fan was still composed, only his right eye flashing golden. Wait! On the brink of war, Zhuge Changfeng put a stop to the hostilities. The elders calmed down and Zhuo Fan relaxed. But Zhuge Changfeng was perplexed and said to Zhuo Fan, I may not know the extent of sir's ambition, but I nevertheless look forward to that day, and hope that it won't all come crashing down instead. Zhuge Changfeng signaled the two elders and left. A good distance from the tavern, one elder snorted, Prime Minister, why did you stop us? His words were far too rude. No, I don't think that was mere boasting. Zhuge Changfeng furrowed his brow, however, what is his aim? With his ability, it's only a matter of time before he becomes an overlord. But instead he chooses to be bogged down by that burden, Luo clan. To what end? Sigh, this kid is the first one I cannot see through. The Yin-Yang elders shared a glance but didn't say anything, in fear of disturbing him. But for some reason, Zhuge Changfeng was frowning constantly, leaving the elders at a loss. When were the rash words of some pup ever of any value? In another part of Dragon Cloud City, at the largest fighting stage, thunderous applause resounded. On the stage, Luo Yunchang's tall figure breathed heavily. Her lithe and demure figure, wrapped tightly in clothes, painted a fine picture. Every man there was drooling at her curves. Even more so when those beads of sweat worked to emphasize her enticing body lines. But her fifth layer of bone-tempering cultivation cut short any errant and lustful desire. Just now, the young lady had dispatched 4 fourth-layer bone-tempering experts, while she herself remained unharmed. Next to her stood a cold youth of about 16 and in the 3rd layer of bone-tempering stage. Despite his young age, he was famed throughout the empire. Marshal Dugu's 5th godson, Tianyu's 5 tigers' youngest, swooping dragonic tiger, Luo Yunhai. Everyone and their uncles had heard of him. Being at Dugu Zhantian's side and fighting next to his 4 brothers for more than 2 years, he had proven himself in battles, becoming a real man of valor. Circling them were 10 people around Luo Yunhai's age, but their eyes held a far more staunch look. They released constant dark energy and their iron-forged bodies glowed. They were of similar cultivation, but in a true life-or-death fight, they could render peak bone-tempering experts heavily wounded, if not outright dead. They were the Luo clan's guards that Zhuo Fan entrusted Captain Pang with training. This was only the tip of the iceberg, and even the guards were enough to strike fear in many. The thought of seeing these monsters fully grown sent chills down the crowd's spine. And to avoid people acting in fear and envy, the Luo clan chose to only bring these 10 youths. If others had known that Luo clan would raise so many freaks and still hide their cards, they'd have long snuffed it in the cradle. Regardless of the what-ifs, Luo clan had nevertheless caused widespread shock to all who bore witness to this obscure clan. Just now, these Luo clans 12 fought with a renowned second-rate clans 100. Yet none of them was injured heavily even when the opposition had peak bone tempering experts among them. This forced people to see Luo clan in a different and frightening light. Not to mention Luo clan's strongest had yet to take the stage. That rumored soaring demonic dragon, how outrageous was he? Chapter 249, Insights. Chapter 249, Insights. The victory of this second-rate clan battle goes to the Luo clan. A profound heaven stage expert in a robe flew on stage and gestured at Luo clan's 12. The crowd broke out in a thunderous applause. This is Luo clan's 28th win. I cannot believe they are a third-rate clan. Yeah, and their best man is yet to appear as well. People say their steward, Zhuo Fan, is on the same level as the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. He is hailed as Tianyu's 7th dragon, soaring demonic dragon. What? If Luo clan is so strong, why haven't I heard of it? Why is it stuck being a third-rate clan? People displayed immense shock in the stands, while many were whispering about the mysterious power behind such a strong underdog. Meanwhile, a few familiar faces stood at the highest point in the stands. The veterans of the martial world would instantly recognize these shocking figures. Weren't they the 7 houses representatives, 6 dragons and 1 phoenix? Ha ha ha, what third-rate clan? That brat duped us. Even facing a top second-rate clan they won cleanly. If this was a third-rate clan, who would be a second-rate one? Right, Ninger. The woman was none other than Xue Ningxiang, from the newest Sword Marquis Abode's vassal clan, the Xue clan. She wasn't paying attention to Xie Tianyang however, having eyes fixed on the stage. Why isn't Big Brother Zhuo here? Isn't he joining? Ninger, why do you always have to mention him? It hurts. Xie Tianyang's mood went sour. Xie Tianshang sitting next to them, sheathed his cold blade in the scabbard and said, "It seems the rumor is true. The soaring demonic dragon is no longer a part of this world." What rumor? Xue Ningxiang was anxious. Xie Tianshang spoke coldly. 5 years ago, they say Zhuo Fan chanced upon Lightning Canyon and is buried there. What a pity, I really hoped to meet such a highly praised man. Now I can no longer see his strength for myself. Brother. Xie Tianyang cut him off, but it was far too late. The damage was done. Xue Ningxiang's tears threatened to burst as she shook her head. Nonsense, Big Brother Zhuo can't be dead. Ninger, calm down. He's only missing. No one has found his body yet. Xie Tianyang was trying to patch things up but Ninger glared, "Brother Tianyang, why didn't you tell me?" Xie Tianyang sighed, "I didn't want to see you so sad." Ha ha ha, just for that. You should have told her sooner rather than prolong the agony. Don't you know that prolonged longing will only make a woman's pain deeper? The 3 looked back to see Long Jia and Long Kuei along with an exuberant youth walking up to them. Squinting, Xie Tianshang's scabbard crackled in his hand, Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Abyss Dragon, Long Xingyun. We finally meet. Please don't. We're all allies here. Don't pull your sword at our first meeting. Long Xingyun noticed Xie Tianshang's thirst for battle and waved frantically. Xie Tianshang snorted and tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword, suppressing his battle lust. Humph, sorry. I can't help but want to pit myself against an expert when I meet them. Please disregard my rudeness. Long Xingyun was sweating. He had heard of this martial fanatic, but he didn't think his illness was so serious. You aren't going to go after me after chopping the enemy, are you? Sighing, Long Xingyun turned to the Luo clan on stage. I've heard of the soaring demonic dragon Zhuo Fan's resounding name and hope to see him. A shame I will never have the chance. Why do you say that? You also believe Big Brother Zhuo is dead? His body hasn't been found. Ninger shouted. Shaking his head, Long Xingyun turned solemn. The lives that Lightning Canyon robs are left without a corpse. If his fortune was the same as Uncle Jiu, surviving that disaster, he would most likely appear here. But after 28 fights, he is still missing. The first 27 fights were nothing, but the last one was only won by using all they had, even if they were unharmed. If he didn't appear even now when it matters the most, I fear he's gone from this world. Shuddering, Xuaningxiang was far from just believing this, but her heart knew the truth. With everyone around telling her so, she couldn't help but think the same as well. And this only worked to make the pain worse. Xia Tianyang clenched his fists and bit his lip, hating himself for being powerless. By the way, do you guys think that the Luo clan without Zhuo Fan is worth being our ally? Long Xingyun suddenly spoke. Xia Tianshang shuddered and spoke, in my eyes, ally or whatever doesn't matter. Whether they are worthy of a challenge or not matters. Ha ha ha, that's a martial fanatic for you. Long Xingyun laughed and admired him. Xia Tianyang was glum. I don't care what you think. Me and Zhuo Fan are brothers, and even if he isn't here, I hope to see Luo clan leave this place safely. Second young master sure is milder among the two. Long Xingyun smiled, but Veiled Dragon Pavilion's ally is Zhuo Fan. Without him around, the agreement is void. Whether the Luo clan can hold on to the agreement, it will rest solely on their performance. I fear, however, that they will never achieve it. Long Xingyun gestured to the front. Look, without the care of that demonic dragon, most of the savage dragons have them in their sights. Second young master, are you capable of stealing the dinner from the claws of those savage dragons? Xia Tianyang's group turned to look in shock. 4 figures suddenly showed up across from them. Hell Valley's Spectre Dragon, Yu Yushan. Xia Tianshang's eyes trembled at the sight of a man in gray. Mary Woods' Forest Fleeting Dragon, Lin Xianfeng. Xia Tianyang looked at another gravely. And also Pil King Hall's Plague Dragon, Yen Bangyi. Long Xingyun pointed at a youth with half a face purple. They say he went insane cultivating his poison, and this is the result. And with his poisonous constitution, even without Yen Song or Yen Fu's achievements in alchemy, his mastery of poisons far exceeds vicious Pil King's. He is a fearful man. But, far from the strongest. Long Xingyun's face turned grave, and even a hint of fear was present as he gestured at the last man, the real monster. Regent Estate's heaven-shaking dragon lord, Huangpu Qingtian, is present as well. Ka! A sharp sound came from Xia Tianshang's scabbard, his eyes glinting. Long Xingyun smiled dejectedly. This martial fanatic, does he not know what dreadful existence that man is? How is he so eager to challenge him at first glance? I just can't tell if these blockhead allies of mine are a blessing or a calamity. Meanwhile, Huangpu Qingtian's 4 also glanced their way but were calm as water. Even Huangpu Qingtian's eyes only spared them a cursory glance. That Zhuo Fan still hasn't shown himself. Huangpu Qingtian stared at the Luo clan. Lin Xianfeng giggled. Eldest young master, are you that eager to smash someone? No. I'm only curious why Sir Leng holds him in such high regard. Huangpu Qingtian crossed his arms. This world is yet to see a man worthy of my attention. I hope that kid would make an exception. He, eldest young master is truly a hero among heroes. You must really want to fight that kid. Lin Xianfeng jumped right in with his ass kissing, only to get a sharp look from Huangpu Qingtian in return. Lin Xianfeng, watch your tongue. This world doesn't have anyone worthy fighting with either. Only some temporary targets need destroying. I only want to see if that man is worthy of killing him myself. If he can't even amount to that, he will be left to you guys to handle. Lin Xianfeng shivered and nodded. The other two sneered, this brat is usually crafty, but this time's ass-kissing only reached the feet. He. Picking up on the two's mockery, Lin Xuanfeng's felt rage inside. Then his eyes lit up and proposed, eldest young master, why don't I test the Luo clan? Zhuo Fan is bound to show up then. And if he doesn't, we'll simply end them. Do it. Huangpu Qingtian's curt nod cut him off. Then the other laughed as he vanished. Xie Tianshang's group watching from afar was also gone. Huangpu Qingtian paused, you two go as well. Perhaps the 6 dragons fight will happen earlier. Understood. The two glanced at each other and were gone, leaving only Huangpu Qingtian standing alone with a sharp gaze. This was all in response to Lin Wuchang's judgment of this time's esoteric debate. It may just be a guess, but was enough to make this man take it seriously. Because Lin Wuchang had never said something like this to him ever before. That implication of not wanting to see Zhuo Fan was a lie. As a man of great power himself, even if conceited, he had to make things clear. Only by snuffing out the cradle would allow ultimate peace to descend. Chapter 250, Picking a Fight. Chapter 250, Picking a Fight. Young miss, young master, good work. The people began commending the shocking power of the Luo clan's 12 with a round of applause as they left the stage. Captain Pang rushed over and expressed his thanks as well for the two's work, watching them with great regret. If only he was younger, he would be joining and fighting alongside them as well. Luo Yunchang nodded, not able to speak from how weary she was. Captain Pang didn't dally any more and led them to a bench to rest. He then turned to the 10 guards with praise, you've done well today. I will surely remember it. The 10 youths nodded, but their faces showed not a twitch, as if they were frozen in time. Luo Yunhai panted and sighed as well, Captain Pang, just how did you train them? These young guards are even more dauntless than most people I've seen in the army. He, young master, there are some things you don't know. These guys are trained by me according to Steward Zhuo's training regimen. He said that great soldiers are good when fighting back, but these fellows are men willing to lay down their lives for the Luo clan when it matters the most. Captain Pang sputtered with great pride the feats of these kids. But then he froze and looked at the silent Luo Yunchang in distress. Luo Yunchang's hand tightened and her eyes glistened in tears. Luo Yunhai glared at Captain Pang, we asked about their training, so why are you talking about sacrifice? Captain Pang slapped himself till he was red, then cursed, it's my rotten mouth to blame for making young miss feel such sorrow again. Captain Pang, I don't blame you. Luo Yunchang stopped him from blaming himself, 5 years without so much as a word. Elderly did say that he is definitely alive, but from the look on his face, not even he believed those words. If he were still alive, there was bound to be some news at this point, not total silence. Tears started trailing down her cheeks. Luo Yunhai felt her pain as Captain Pang sighed, not knowing how to reply. The Luo clan didn't want to accept Zhuo Fan's death, but they had no choice in the matter. At that time, the entire clan was in mourning. How did that saying go? Misery loves company. Their so-called allies had changed their stance, and their support was waning. They were abandoned when the clan needed the most help. Many times Luo Yunchang wished to show the world their radiant stage experts. Zhuo Fan was gone, but the clan still held strong. Luo clan had the power to face the 7 houses. But Luo Yunchang was reminded every single time of Zhuo Fan's decisive stance, of keeping their cards hidden even from one's allies. This made her snuff out that reckless thought. She thus burned with even more desire, to prove to them who Luo clan was, in the esoteric debate. Especially to their allies, that they are worthy of their constant support. No matter what, she had to lead the Luo clan into the final battle. Taking a deep breath, Luo Yunchang wiped her tears and steeled her will. She stood up, Come, Grand Elder is waiting for us. Luo Yunhai and Captain Pang looked startled at the leaving delicate figure. With Shuo Fan gone the past half a decade, and Luo Yunhai in the army, all the weight of the clan rested on the young Miss' shoulders. And the talks with their allies were the most taxing. She didn't have Shuo Fan's cunning, nor his brashness. But on this path, her weak and fearful self slowly rose to the challenge, meeting the houses head-on. Within the fake civility, with all that back and forth, she grew to be an imposing figure. But only she knew the taunts, mocking, and misery she had to endure. Sighing, Captain Pang and Luo Yunhai followed after her. The three soon arrived with the 10 guards at the exit of the fighting stage. Lei Yuntian was there waiting for them, along with the profound heaven fakes. Yunhai, Yuncheng, congratulations. You won 28 times in a row. Lei Yuntian cupped his hands. Luo Yuncheng raised an eyebrow. Uncle Lei, you knew we'd won even when you were outside? Of course. With such a resounding applause, how could I not know? I've heard it so many times these days that my ears have swollen. Ha ha ha, Lei Yuntian was cheerful. Luo Yuncheng chuckled as well as they walked with him to their accommodations. Uncle Lei, how about we make a different sound tomorrow, since your ears are swollen? No need. I like this one very much, ha ha ha. They talked with the setting sun behind them, cheerful about tomorrow's victory. Among the 10 young guards behind them there were also the profound heaven fakers. Their power wasn't much to talk about. Even one of the young guards could finish them off. But that swag and pose had their intended purpose, to shock and awe the bystanders. Holy hell, the Luo clan is truly an underdog. They raised 20 profound heaven experts. They are as strong as the 7 houses. Though none realized, looks could be deceiving. These elders were paper tigers, mere toys to scare children. But just as Feng Qiubai said before, showing them off was their strongest suit. Whoosh! Suddenly, a breeze passed by Luo Yuncheng's charming figure. She felt her ear and her face changed. What's wrong, Yuncheng? Lei Yuntian asked. Luo Yuncheng was confused. My earrings gone. Sister, did you lose it? Luo Yunhai looked around and shouted, everyone, my sister lost her earring. Please help us find it. They all started looking around for the young Miss earring. Just then, a funny laughter reached them. Ha ha ha, idiots, here it is. Ding. A sharp ringing sound was heard and they all looked in the direction of a creepy man in robes holding an earring. Luo Yuncheng cried, that's mine. Merry Woods' forest fleeting dragon, Lin Xianfeng. Luo Yuncheng was quite shocked. All eyes were now on that man. Was this one of the strongest disciples in Tianyu, one of 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, forest fleeting dragon? The cheerful mood had long been replaced with heavy silence. Even those 20 profound heaven fakes felt their scalps go numb. These guys were no match for the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. Even if they weren't fakes. Even among profound heaven experts, the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix were the best. Why was this Lin Xianfeng suddenly approaching them? Was he picking a fight? What are you doing picking a fight with us? Aren't you from the 7 houses, aren't you afraid of shaming yourself? This was on everyone's mind. Lin Xianfeng looked at Luo Yunhai in provocation, such a remarkable godson that old guy Dugu Zhantian has gained. You recognized me with just one look? Of course. We may be soldiers, but the Godfather has told us about the renowned figures in Tianyu. Luo Yunhai straightened his back and shouted, and you? What do you think you're doing? This is Dragon Cloud City and it is time for the esoteric debate. The houses and clans are forbidden from making a ruckus. Are you challenging Marshal Dugu's order and is that why you're blocking our way? He, stop scaring people with that old guy's name. I'm not everyone. Lin Xianfeng mocked, kid, do you know why the old man told you about Tianyu's strongest? It was to warn you that even he can't offend some people. It was something for you to watch out for. That order is for the average clans only, not for us, the 7 houses. Luo Yunhai seethed from anger. You dare to openly go against his order? See when I report to Marshal and he puts you in your place. Ha ha ha, you gullible pup. I just told you, that old man won't interfere. Laughing, Lin Xianfeng flashed right in front of Luo Yunchang in the next blink. He took in her perfume, shook her other earring, and snickered, gorgeous, mind spending the night with me? Blushing, Luo Yunchang's face was a mask of anger as she sent a slap, pervert. Whoosh. Lin Xianfeng was back to his original place before the slap made contact. Ha ha ha, this is all Luo clan amounts to. You could not even find someone good enough to touch my clothes, but you dare showing off in Dragon Cloud City. Men, together. Lei Yuntian snapped. His cultivation was now in the 5th layer of the profound heaven stage, reaching Lin Xianfeng in a blink and striking with his finger. As for those profound heaven fakes, they had no choice but to join as well. In the face of the incoming finger, Lin Xianfeng only grinned. Then the oddest thing happened. He vanished into thin air and the 20 profound heaven fakes behind Lei Yuntian were knocked out one at a time. Lin Xianfeng then returned to his spot, but Lin Xuanfeng's fingers still hadn't arrived. He let out a bored yawn and with a light grip, snuffed out the lightning on the finger. Too slow, I've already finished fighting. Lin Xuanfeng's kick sent Lei Yuntian flying. Spurting blood, Lei Yuntian fell before the siblings. Only now did the 20 profound heaven fakes collapsed, actually lasting a second more than Lei Yuntian. They had long been knocked out. Such speed. Gasping, Luo Yunhai's face turned solemn. He knew Lin Xianfeng was fast, but even he didn't think it'd be to this extent. It was as if he defied the laws of time and space. He didn't catch any of Lin Xuanfeng's movements, and it looked as if he had always been standing there. But he knew that Lin Xianfeng had put everyone out of commission in a flash. Without a second thought, Luo Yunhai jumped in front of his sister. Luo Yunchang was solemn as well, glancing at Captain Pang and getting ready to face their great enemy. The power of the 6 dragons wasn't something they could contend with. They were all wishing from the bottom of their hearts that that person would come. Ironically, this was where the both sides' thoughts aligned, with Lin Xianfeng hoping for the same thing. Chapter 251, Dragon and Phoenix Battle. Chapter 251, Dragon and Phoenix Battle. Is the soaring demonic dragon truly dead? I mean, this would never have happened if he wasn't. Unless of course he is the biggest coward out there. Giving others a mocking glance, he punctuated with a sneer. Luo Yunchang's heart trembled. He's after Zhuo Fan. The guy assumed Zhuo Fan was watching from the shadows around here somewhere and decided to stage this play to draw him out. When in fact the reality was much crueler. Zhuo Fan wasn't even here to begin with. The Luo clan wallowed in mourning and Luo Yunchang snapped back in indignation, since when did an outsider get the rights to butt into the affairs of our steward? Ha, looks like you hold Zhuo Fan in quite a high regard. Although, would it even make that much of a difference if he were here? A nobody who some no-name clans call soaring demonic dragon, one who can barely stand up to our level, the level of the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, doesn't deserve my attention. With a spark of cruelty in his eyes, Lin Xianfeng flashed right in front of Luo Yunchang's face. The group jerked back in fright. He's so fast. Too fast. They didn't even sense him move. Especially Lei Yuntian, who sucked in a cold breath. Both were of an equal stage in strength, that of the profound heaven. And common knowledge told him a difference in speed could exist but not to the extent of a gulf. Yet Lin Xuanfeng's brazen display proved that the 6 dragons were in a league of their own, even if they were only profound heaven experts. Snickering, Lin Xianfeng touched the smooth and delicate chin of the frightened Luo Yunchang. Young Miss Luo, if we were to take this somewhere private, wouldn't that steward Zhua end up working under me in the end? Are you willing to come along? Don't touch my sister. Luo Yunhai snapped, sending a flying kick at him. Lei Yuntian and Captain Pang joined him by punching. Lei Yuntian flickered like lightning while the dark energy around Captain Pang turned him into an unstoppable raging machine. Get your filthy hands off young miss. Lin Xianfeng couldn't care less about their bravado, to the point he even disregarded them completely. With Lei Yuntian leading the charge, Lin Xianfeng simply swished his wrist and Captain Pang tumbled forward. Captain Pang rammed into Lei Yuntian and the two coughed blood in their flight. To the mere third layer of bone-tempering Luo Yunhai, this was even more disdainful. A simple rise of his leg followed by a casual step ended the kid's attack. Ah! Luo Yunhai's wailed out of pain from having his leg bone bend under the guy's foot. Luo Yunchang rushed over, Yunhai. She didn't make it however, as Lin Xianfeng was quick in seizing her wrist and grinning like a demon. Young Miss Luo, will you cooperate now? Luo Yunchang bit her lip, her eyes teary as she clenched her fists in hatred. Seeing her so stubborn, Lin Xianfeng snickered as he put more weight on his foot. Ah! Luo Yunhai made his pain known again. But he cut off his screams abruptly despite the agony. He chose to hold it in, although it was clear from his purple face that it took all he had not to keep screaming. He couldn't scream, or his sister would have no choice but to agree and the Luo clan's name would go up in flames. His training in the Dugu army taught him how to shed away the weak young master persona and become a true man of principle. Oh, quite the tough one I see. Raising an eyebrow, Lin Xianfeng eyed him viciously, and put more power in his stomp. The sound of crushed bone jarred everyone's ears, but Luo Yunhai only gnashed his teeth as sweat soaked him. No matter how much it hurt, how pale he got, he didn't make a sound. Lei Yuntian and Captain Pang were enraged at this, yet couldn't even twitch as their bodies were seriously hurt as well. As for those profound heaven fakes, they were rooted in place and shivering from pain. They had no intention of showing off anymore. After biting the dust once, they simply closed their eyes shut. Even as imperial guards they had never offended the seven houses, least of all now. Although the young guards had guts, even they'd think twice after being knocked out cold from just one slap. Luo Yunchang felt her brother's pain, so much so her teeth were threatening to break under the strain of her clenched jaw. She was caught in the middle, whether to choose her clan's honor or save her younger brother from the torment. Lin Xianfeng roared as he yanked her wrist, "Talk! Are you going to give in and make me Zhuo Fan's master or not? Humph, are you worthy?" Luo Yunchang scoffed back, "Compared to him, you're nothing but discarded dung, unfit to even carry his shoes." Lin Xuanfeng's eyes twitched and he backhanded her, "Have it your way then, skank." Luo Yunchang showed no fear at the incoming blow. The others wanted to help but were unable to even move. All they could do was watch him humiliate their young miss. Whoosh! And right then, a white ribbon shot at Lin Xianfeng. He was forced to give up on his attack and flickered away. The ribbon passed through the air and went back. The source was tens of meters away from the Luo clan's siblings. Lin Xianfeng spat back as he watched the white ribbon fly away, ascending Ice Phoenix Chu Qingcheng, "This is none of your damn business. Beat it." Humph, Drifting Flowers City will never allow anyone to harass women. A white figure along with Iris and Peony overseers walked over. Her elegance and her demeanor, both pictured her as a celestial. Not even her veil could mask the outstanding beauty she possessed, to the extent that it left even Luo Yunchang speechless. "Is this Chu Qingcheng? She is just like a goddess." Then she noticed the two overseers and her whole face lit up, Sister Iris, Sister Peony. When Zhuo Fan was reported missing, perhaps because they were all women, while meeting with her allies, Luo Yunchang and the two hit it off. The two liked Luo Yunchang as well, treating her like an angel. Unlike that devious and devilish Shuo Fan. It was only natural that the three were practically sisters now. The overseers rushed to her in worry. Yunchang, are you all right? Luo Yunchang nodded her head with a smile and went to help her brother and Captain Pang. The overseers supplied them with pills to offer relief. Chu Qingcheng only stared daggers at Lin Xianfeng. Lin Xianfeng scratched his nose as he said in good nature, Chu Qingcheng, this is no drifting flowers city, so try to keep your nose out of another's business. Habit. Chu Qingcheng scoffed and chuckled in mockery. Lin Xianfeng laughed back coldly, then you'll have to forgive me for what I'm about to do. Lin Xianfeng flickered, putting Luo Yunchang and her group on edge. Iris and Peony overseers held her hand to ease her worries. Only this time, Chu Qingcheng intervened. A white mist rose between her hands, swiftly spreading around. Wherever the mist passed, a layer of ice formed. Lin Xianfeng slowly became suspicious as the mist coiled around his figure. His speed was clearly affected as everyone had no trouble seeing him anymore. Shocked, Lin Xianfeng got some distance between them. He trembled a bit and the ice sheet on him crumbled off, but the fear in his eyes was more than apparent. Frost Domain. Did your soul reach the radiant stage? Lin Xianfeng cried incredulously. He felt how Chu Qingcheng's frost spread along her discerning field and acted as a barrier. Any that stepped foot in it would find it impossible to escape her notice, regardless of speed. It was a sign of imminent breakthrough into the radiant stage. Once her frost domain became an invisible divine sense, that would be when she'd attain the true form of discerning field. And, just like Shuo Fan, she had the prospect of entering the radiant stage. As for killing with intent, it wasn't that far away either. His face growing colder, Lin Xianfeng said, I heard you wasted 10 years of your cultivation. Who knew you'd recover so fast? Chu Qingcheng, you are worthy of being among the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, albeit barely. I extend my admiration. Then get lost if you know what's good for you. I am in no mood of stirring something up before the true battle between the 7 houses. Chu Qingcheng glanced over. Lin Xianfeng was pissed and his face was a mask of hatred. Then he broke out into a grin, accompanied by him snickering, Chu Qingcheng, you're a bit full of yourself. Not even you are enough to deal with me. Whoosh! With a boom, Chu Qingcheng felt a wind on her back and felt a slap coming her way. The 2 palms met and Chu Qingcheng put all her power in it to repel the attacker. When she noticed her palm, it was covered in green. Chapter 252, The Dread of Huangpu Tianyuan. Chapter 252, The Dread of Huangpu Tianyuan. Ha ha ha, you old poisoner. About time you showed up. Any later and I'd have had to go all out. Lin Xianfeng roared in laughter walking next to Yen Bangyi while raising a taunting look at Chu Qingcheng. Yen Bangyi was simply silent. The only sign he had that seemed to acknowledge the man was the bloodthirsty cold stare. Heart-jumping, Chu Qingcheng grew serious. 6 dragons and 1 phoenix's power was the strongest in the profound heaven stage. Besides Huangpu Qingtian, there wasn't much of a difference in the other 6's power. She could deal with Forest Fleeting Dragon, Lin Xianfeng, but her hands were tied with Yen Bangyi in the mix. The others picked up on this and grew nervous. Lin Xianfeng puffed up his chest and laughed, ha ha ha, Ascending Ice Phoenix, now that we are 2 against 1, I reckon what your chances will be. Chu Qingcheng tightened her fists in response. Ha ha ha, you're among the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, yet you have no shame going 2 against 1. What will you say to 3 against 2 then? The others jerked and saw Long Xingyun and Xia Tianshang's groups arriving. Xuaningxiang looked at Luo Yunchang. She gathered her courage and showed a bashful smile, young Miss Luo, are you all right? Luo Yunchang chuckled a nod, but was quite perplexed. Who is this girl? I don't even know her, so why does she care so much about me? But when she noticed the thunder ring, she realized that Zhuo Fan wore the same one, that ring. This is our engagement ring. Xia Tianyang butted in, showing his own without an ounce of shame. It was precisely for this occasion that he had Zhuo Fan make one for him as well. Glaring at him, Xuening Xiang stammered an explanation, "Young Miss Luo, don't misunderstand. This is nothing between us. Brother Zhuo simply gave a token to each of us." "Oh, I see." Luo Yunchang nodded in disappointment and vexation. "That guy never gave me anything." Chu Qingqing's ears perked up and she whipped her head back, feeling quite down herself. Grandmother said he is heartless, yet he suddenly grew a conscience. Humph, damn philanderer. Long Xingyun got next to Chu Qingqing and stared at their opponents. "I wonder, who among you will spar with me?" "Humph, stand back and leave them all to me." Xie Tianshang stepped in front, his sword sheath moved and his piercing gaze landed on his enemies. Like sharp blades, the two had a very real cold and sharp feeling on their necks. Long Xingyun almost facepalmed. This guy's martial fanatic obsession is out again. Though this is a very good opportunity to see how reliable he really is. While their side got bolstered, the enemy's side was tense. Now that the tables had turned, they were the ones at a disadvantage. "Ha ha ha, it's 3-on-3 in fact." A laughter followed when a gray figure popped out before Lin Xianfeng. Their tension eased. Chu Qingqing frowned and spat, "Spectre Dragon, Yu Yushan." "It is I." Yu Yushan nodded and turned to his own allies. Eldest young master was right, 6 dragons and 1 phoenix were bound to fight earlier. "Ha ha ha, in this case, we are even. What's there to fear?" Lin Xianfeng cackled, having recovered his cockiness. Chu Qingqing's side waited solemnly. With a metallic sound, Xie Tianshang's sword left its sheath. "You too, pick someone else. These 3 are mine." "Young Master Xie, can you take them on all by yourself?" Chu Qingqing frowned in worry. Hardening his gaze, Xie Tianshang made up his mind, "How else can I challenge Huangpu Qingtian? Brother Xie, I don't care about the other 2, but leave Yu Yushan to me." Long Xingyun stepped up with a hard face. "Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Hell Valley's grudges can only be settled amongst ourselves." "Ha ha ha, perfect. I was thinking the same thing. Let's see what Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Abyss Dragon is made of. I'll make sure whether Hell Valley has overestimated you or not." Yu Yushan laughed, with sparks flying as their gazes met. The scene was close to a breaking point. It was missing but a spark to devolve in an all-out war. But then a shout came, "Stop!" Whoosh! 4 men appeared between the 2 sides, eliciting murmurs from the others, 4 tigers of Tianyu. "Seniors, Marshal Dugu forbids any grudge fights in Dragon Cloud City. The 7 houses are no exception. Please comply." Dugu Feng cupped his hands at the 6, his tone very cold. And yet another shout came, "Brother Yunhai." Dugu Hun noticed Luo Yunhai on the ground and knew at a glance that his leg was broken. His short temper was already burning as he raved, "Who did this?" "Third brother, it was Lin Xianfeng." Luo Yunchang spoke in a pleading voice, "Please, elder brother, help us." Dugu Hua's face heated up as he roared like a beast, "Anyone who harms our family is dead." "Eldest brother. Quiet." Dugu Feng cut him off with a glare, then continued, "I hope that we can all let this matter rest. If Marshal were to step in himself, it won't simply end with words." The rest stared at him fixedly, then nodded slowly. Dugu Zhantian was the second of the 4 pillars. They had to show him some respect after all. "Fine. It's such a pity though, that I didn't get to show them my prowess. We'll just have to wait for the decisive battle of the houses then." Lin Xianfeng shrugged and mocked. They hadn't lost in this exchange anyway. The rest looked at each other and nodded as well. Dugu Feng eased his breath and walked to Luo Yunhai. "Yunhai, please forgive me. No, I understand that the eldest brother had to dissolve the situation. Luo Yunhai's eyes were firm. Past 5 years in the Dugu army had him grown accustomed to the meaning of military. In order to reach an objective, sometimes personal honor had to be sacrificed. Taking a deep breath, Dugu Feng patted his shoulder, feeling his pain as well. His little brother was pushed around, and what did the eldest brother do? Nothing. All because of his orders. He was a soldier first and foremost, a Dugu army's general. The other tigers sighed as well, filled with just as much rage as him. Oh, isn't the situation over yet? A sudden voice came, lofty as an emperor's, carrying might with every word. They all turned to see the most dreadful among the 6 dragons. Heaven-shaking Dragon Lord, Huangpu Qingtian. Eldest young master, this is what happened. Lin Xianfeng looked like a dog as he explained in brief. Huangpu Qingtian nodded, yet his face was always calm. He stepped forward and said, since Shuo Fan is a no-show, hurry up and kill the Luo clan. If such a crucial event doesn't warrant his coming, he must be dead for sure. The others jerked in fright. Huangpu Qingtian was going to go against Dugu Zhantian's orders and kill the Luo clan. Young Master Huangpu, martial is against any grudge fights. Are you? Dugu Feng blocked his path and shouted, but Huangpu Qingtian only had disdain for his attempt. Grudge fight, war, they all describe armed conflicts between 2 equally strong sides. But none of you are even worthy of a grudge fight. So erasing someone weak doesn't violate any order. Such crass. The people were shocked once again by this man's egotistical behavior. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light came down from above, straight for Huangpu Qingtian. Xie Tianshang was filled with fighting spirit as he shouted, Huangpu Qingtian, I've waited 10 years for this. Flowing spaces 9 forms, splitting heaven. 10 years? Then you waited for nothing. He walked just like before, and yet in the face of the upcoming sword attack, he only replied with a casual palm attack. Boom! The sword wave splintered and an almighty power slammed into Xie Tianshang's chest and sent him flying while coughing blood. The way Huangpu Qingtian put away his hand was as if he flicked away a pest, a mosquito, so casual, so dismissive. Not even his gait changed. SSS. All watched in stunned silence how he dominated Xie Tianshang. Not even Xie Tianyang conceived it possible for his invincible brother to be so easily dealt with by heaven-shaking Dragon Lord. Everyone said Huangpu Qingtian was a monster, but how could there be such discrepancy from the rest of the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix? The others couldn't even put up any resistance. The hearts of everyone sank in despair. Huangpu Qingtian was an untamable mountain as he stepped towards them. Although slow, his step carried such power that it was as if he was stepping on everyone's hearts, crushing their spirit and will. Chapter 253, Demonic Dragon's Appearance. Chapter 253, Demonic Dragon's Appearance. The heavy pressure pressed down on all and they flinched back again and again. Yet Huangpu Qingtian was still strolling forward, like a king on a mission. The air was excruciatingly thick, hard to even breathe. The dread on everyone's face only increased with every sound of Huangpu Qingtian's steps. Monster! It was on everyone's mind, yet none dared say it. Lin Xianfeng, Yan Bangyi, and Yu Yushan observed coldly. The stronger Huangpu Qingtian was, the more at ease they were, and respectful. Huangpu Qingtian, think this through, or you will suffer the consequences. Dugu Feng wiped his brow. Among his peers in Tianyu, heaven-shaking Dragon Lord was the first to scare this leader of tigers. Nodding, Huangpu Qingtian never missed a beat. Relax, I'm not after you, the 5 tigers' lives. I still have to show consideration for Marshal Dugu. As long as you come out unharmed, he will not charge into Regent Estate. So taking Luo clan's young miss head with me won't make that old geezer snap. The 4 tigers felt eerily afraid and worried. Huangpu Qingtian was not only high on his horse, but quite astute as well, a schemer and plotter. He grasped Dugu Zhantian's bottom line, and knew when to stop just shy from it, even if he was about to cause a massacre. Correct, Dugu Zhantian cared most about his 5 godsons. He was tough on them, true, but he cherished them dearly as well. If anything were to happen to them, the old guy would flip and march his army regardless of consequences. Everyone had a bottom line, and the second of 4 pillars, Marshal of Third Army, was no exception. Even though Luo Yunchang was the dear sister of his 5th godson, not even for her would he go into action. She had nothing to do with him. Knowing this, Huangpu Qingtian acted unrestrained and unfeeling to others. Young Miss Luo, run. Go find the marshal. You'll be safe there. Go while we hold him off. Dugu Lin whispered. Luo Yunchang was worried for Luo Yunhai. Dugu Lin said, "Don't worry, Yunhai is our brother and godfather's godson. Huangpu Qingtian won't ever touch him. Go, we won't be able to hold him for long." Luo Yunchang took one last look at her brother and nodded. She was relieved but still hesitant. Just then, a soft hand grabbed her into a run. Looking back, it was actually Xuaningxiang. "Sister Luo, brother Zhuo always called me a burden. Let's see him say that again after I save his clan's young miss." Xuaningxiang stuck out her charming and cute nose as she smiled. Seeing this cutie, Luo Yunchang's worries drifted out of her. She didn't know how Zhuo Fan got to meet this girl, but the girl was like an angel, easing her worries. Lin Xianfeng snickered from afar, running, "Is it? Did you ask me first? Wait, don't sour the eldest young master's mood." Yu Yushan blocked him with a sneer. He now realized that without Huangpu Qingtian's explicit approval, none could do anything. When the man was on the prowl, only horror would have awaited him for meddling with his hunt. Lin Xianfeng wiped his brow and nodded. Yu Yushan beamed in reply. "Thanks, dude. If not for you, I would have been a goner. No thanks necessary. I'm not doing it for you either. With Huangpu Qingtian's temper, I fear you'll take me down with you." Yu Yushan snickered. Back to Huangpu Qingtian, he didn't much care if the 2 girls broke into a run and shook his head. A hare always thinks it can outrun its hunter, only to find its efforts go in vain. Huangpu Qingtian punctuated with chasing after the 2. The 4 tigers rushed to intercept with 4 palms, wind, forest, fire, mountain, imperial army. Smiley face is original. If you have a better suggestion, I'm all ears. Boom. As if a dam broke, the power swept everything like a literal army. Although it was only 4 palms, it was as if tens of men joined hands. Not even Huangpu Qingtian could ignore it, feeling the sudden and forceful might boring down on him. Huangpu Tianyuan's grinned, "A formation. A pity, it's too low grade." And he punched. Without any preamble, just this plain punch contained almost godly power. The boom sent the 4 tigers flying as they bled from their mouths. Now they felt on their own skin why Xia Tianshang was so badly wounded after just one attack. Because Huangpu Qingtian was no human. How can our peer, in both age and cultivation, have such power? But the crux of it all was, their so-called stalling was pointless. Huangpu Qingtian simply barreled through them unimpeded in his chase after Luo Yunchang. It was as if stepping on ants in passing. Whoosh! Suddenly, a whistle announced the incoming claw attack, below Huangpu Qingtian's belt. It was so devious, so sneaky, it caused everyone to gasp. Veiled Dragon Claw. Smiley face. I have no clue if it's a declaration of an attack or Huangpu saying it's useless. Long Xingyun's eyes glinted as he arrived in the man's path. Huangpu Qingtian laughed coldly, Veiled Dragon Pavilion gets worse by the day. You only got so far through underhanded and crafty methods. He, and? This is what I know best. Long Xingyun snickered, not minding it in the least. Huangpu Qingtian disregarded him and was planning on kicking him away. It was then he found it odd that his leg didn't move. A shining ice sheet crept up his legs and rooted him in place. He then saw a dainty palm, filled with mist shooting from above. Chu Qingcheng. Unable to move, Long Xingyun clawed him from below, and Chu Qingcheng attacked from above. It was the perfect combo to subdue an enemy's movements while also unleashing a pincer attack. Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian snorted fearlessly, "I see. You laid a trap for me with Frost Domain while the 4 tigers blocked my path. Not bad at all, I will give you that much. But... Pa! Pa!" 2 loud noises echoed as Chu Qingcheng's palm slammed into his head and Long Xingyun's claw hit from below. Although despicable, it was a strong attack nonetheless. And yet, no one expected what happened next. 2 peak profound heaven experts could do nothing against one with equal cultivation. Chu Qingcheng and Long Xingyun stared in shock and sucked a cold breath. Just how strong is this monster? Huangpu Qingtian curled his lips, "A pity, you are too weak and overestimate your strength." Despite his words, his eyes flashed. Then, with a boom, his body exploded in a golden light and roared like a dragon. A golden dragon rose from him, sending the pair flying and coughing blood. It then circled back into his body. What is that thing? Long Xingyun watched Huangpu Qingtian perturbed, as did the rest. It was as if his body held a guardian. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian mocked, "It is the heritage of an emperor. You are not worthy to know." Huangpu Qingtian then chose to ignore him, leaving him sitting on the ground in shock and bleeding at the mouth. Whoosh! With no one left to block him, Huangpu Qingtian went after the girls. They looked back in shock, to find Chu Qingcheng, Xie Tianshang, and Luo Yunchang, as well as the 4 tigers of Tianyu wounded on the ground and unable to even get up on their feet. Despite the intense fight, it only took a second. The gap was so insanely wide that all that effort didn't stall Huangpu Qingtian for even a fraction of a second. How is there such discrepancy between him and the other 5 dragons and 1 phoenix? The 2 were now panicking from fright. Huangpu Qingtian was like a relentless monster. No one seemed to be able to escape his clutches. "Ninger, watch out!" Xia Tianyang roared, as he and Long Jia with Long Kuei jumped in front. But what could they do when 5 dragons and 1 phoenix could do nothing? The answer? Nothing. With a mere flick, Huangpu Qingtian sent them flying, landing heavily on the ground. Snickering, Huangpu Qingtian extended his hand, "Young Miss Luo, this palm of mine will splatter the both of you. If Shuo Fan doesn't show even now, he is definitely dead, or maybe just a lily-livered good-for-nothing coward." Rubbish. You're the real coward. Brother Zhua is a hero. Ninger cursed. Luo Yunchang was giving her all to run, but still nodded at Ninger's words. Grinning, Huangpu Qingtian mocked, "I hope so too, but at this point he seems likelier dead than alive." Huangpu Qingtian struck with his palm. It looked casual, but the might behind it was that of a mountain. The girls were scared to even run, watching the incoming palm with fear. Everyone wanted to help them, somehow save them, but no one had the strength. "Sister!" Luo Yunhai cried and crawled. "Ninger!" Xia Tianyang was doing the same with clenched teeth. Huangpu Qingtian looked on coldly as his attack approached the girls. "Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan is really dead after all. A shame you all had to die for nothing. As he defied Regent Estate, I had no choice but to waste my time with this puny Luo clan. You only have Zhuo Fan to blame for your fates. It was he who cut your young lives short." Luo Yunchang and Ninger remained silent. Xia Tianyang punched the ground, reminded of how powerless he was back in Blue Expanse City and cursed, "That bastard Zhuo Fan. Why does he always wash his hands off every offense he ever does? Now Ninger is giving her life away for nothing. Bastard, come out if you have any shred of conscience. Lin Xuanfeng's group found his cursing entertaining, so Zhuo Fan really is dead. Or this would never have happened. No, Zhuo Fan is not dead. Luo Yunchang shouted back. Huangpu Qingtian's attack was about to hit the girls, then call him out. Show me that he's alive. But it's too late now. No one can save you from my attack. Tears streamed Luo Yunchang's face. Zhuo Fan, if you can hear me, please come. At least let me see you one last time. She was on the brink of death yet no response came. Lin Xuanfeng's group laughed harder at her futile attempt and treated her like a fool. Ninger held her close instead, even if her heart had the same feeling. Useless. Die in peace. Whoosh. Huangpu Qingtian's palm attack sped up and the girls felt their breaths caught in their throat, picturing the gory mess they would soon become. Luo Yunchang closed her teary eyes, in pain and sorrow. Why couldn't I see Zhuo Fan one last time? Ninger was praying for a miracle, the same miracle that saved her in Blue Expanse City. Will anyone save us? Crack. Suddenly, Xia Tianyang and Ninger's thunder ring flickered and the two cried. Zhuo Fan. Big brother Zhuo. Boom. Too little, too late. Huangpu Qingtian's palm struck down, destroying even the ground below them. Xia Tianyang watched the aftermath in a daze, slumping powerless as tears flowed from his eyes. It was now that a carefree voice entered their ears. Were you looking for me? Chapter 254, Another Monster. Chapter 254, Another Monster. A shiver ran through Huangpu Qingtian and his knuckles turned white. He turned, like the rest, to where the voice came from. To see a figure in a billowing black cloak, wielding a sword of unmatched edge, yet sheathed for now. But that could not hide the dread and power it instilled in the hearts of all present. Especially when he held two girls in his arms, the same ones Huangpu Qingtian was about to kill. How? The mangled bodies and the torn limbs were nowhere to be seen. How were they still in one piece? Did this man just do the impossible? Did he save them without even Huangpu Qingtian noticing? That's absurd. Who could ever pull such a feat such as saving someone from right under heaven-shaking Dragon Lord's nose, and at the last second too? Not even the feeding feet Lin Xianfeng could pull it off. Who the hell is this guy? Eyes filled with shock and intrigue graced the black figure. Not even Huangpu Qingtian could stop his eye from twitching. It was a rare sight to see him lose his voice. Because it had never happened to him, ever. Once the haze passed, Luo Yunchang was still trying to make sense of everything. 1 second she was staring death in the face, and the next she was in the arms of a robed man. Xuaningxiang didn't fare any better, but the familiar flickering forced her eyes on the man's hand, on the sparkling thunder ring. Big brother Zhuo, you're all right. Her words earned the gasp of the crowd. Easing them down, Zhuo Fan smiled and pulled back his cowl to reveal the same familiar face that some cherished, some hated, and some reviled. Yes sir, he was the one and only soaring demonic dragon. Who made sure to leave chaos in his wake wherever he went, Zhuo Fan. Smiling to Xuaningxiang, Zhuo Fan showed a rare calmness. Ninger, it's been a while. Xuaningxiang nodded a smile, lowering her bashful face. Xia Tianyang was still crawling and couldn't for the life of him decide which was better, life or death. He was thrilled that Xuaningxiang was safe and sound. But the deep gaze Xuaningxiang gave Zhuo Fan made him feel his life was over. Ninger, why have you never looked at me like that? Bam! Zhuo Fan stumbled forward and held his butt. He snapped back irate, young miss, what's wrong? We haven't seen. His words soon stopped though. Because Luo Yunchang was looking at him with teary eyes and a reproachful glare. You are asking me? What about you? Where the hell did you run off to for the past 5 years? I was worried sick. Luo Yunchang raved, but she couldn't mask the joy bursting from her chest as she forgot where she was and jumped into his arms, her tears falling non-stop. She wanted to hold him close to her heart and never let him go. Zhuo Fan was caught unprepared, not knowing how to even respond, but ultimately deciding to hug her back. Xue Ningxiang felt a stab of pain from deep within her heart. She should be happy to see Zhuo Fan again, so why the pain? But the sight of this young miss holding Zhuo Fan so close seemed to make her heart frantic. Chu Qingcheng was no different. Zhuo Fan was the husband she recognized back in Drifting Flowers City, and here he was, spreading his love. However reasonable and perfectly natural her brain told her this reunion was, her heart was another matter entirely. The pain was far greater than any wound she had ever received. Two women's love aside, the four tigers of Tianyu felt their hearts literally crack. Young Miss Luo pined for someone else. That makes the 5 years we carried a torch for her go down the drain. We even fought among each other over her. This blasted and rotten Steward Zhua is a clan thief in the truest sense. He even stole young Miss Hart. And yet, worries soon gave way to joy. Watching such a touchy reunion, Xie Tianyang's mouth split into a wide grin. As long as Zhuo Fan has a woman, Ning'er will be devastated. The perfect time to make my move. Whether it is Chu Qingcheng or Luo Yunchang, who cares? Ha ha ha. Xie Tianyang was laughing his heart out, on the inside, totally forgetting the precarious and quite deadly situation they were in seconds ago. For even a 5th layer of bone-tempering woman to kick your ass, soaring demonic dragon's reputation is undeserving. A brash and cocky voice burst Luo Yunchang's bubble of happiness. She came crashing down to reality, reminded of the danger they were in. She jumped away from Zhuo Fan, wiped her tears and, like the perfect image of a little girl, dodged behind him. Steward Zhuo, keep me safe. Her coy voice was enough to melt the four tigers' ice-cold hearts, which were now bursting out of their chest in rage and rancor directed at the newly arrived man, Zhuo Fan. What does young Miss Luo sees in that Steward Zhuo? Isn't he beneath her? Glancing back, Zhuo Fan was puzzled, since when did this lass learn to throw a hissy fit? It's not a bad idea, though. Ha ha ha, eldest young master, this guy doesn't look like much. He's only in the 9th layer of bone-tempering stage. He couldn't even break through to the profound heaven stage. Fighting him will only harm your image, so allow me to do the honors. Lin Xianfeng laughed. Huangpu Qingtian nodded. The brat is right. If this is all Zhuo Fan amounts to, there's no need for my intervention. But in case Zhuo Fan was pulling his punches, it might not be so bad to let this dumbass test the waters. Huangpu Qingtian smiled, suit yourself. I'll allow it. Thank you, eldest young master. Lin Xianfeng snickered at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and turned to Luo Yunchang. Who are these guys? Luo Yunchang gave a rushed explanation. Getting the memo on who was who here, Zhuo Fan realized how powerful Huangpu Qingtian was. He alone dealt with Zhuo Fan's 3 allies and the 4 tigers of Tianyu, yet was still so composed. Actually, he's dreadfully powerful and Zhuo Fan would never have fought him in the past. As for now, hee. Zhuo Fan grinned deviously, his brain already cooking the beginnings of a plan. Luo Yunchang brightened. Being so long in Zhuo Fan's presence, she knew his tells, and the confidence he showed now was more than a little reassuring. So without further ado, she singled Lin Xianfeng out. Steward Zhuo, ignore the others and teach this prick a lesson he never forgets. Zhuo Fan asked puzzled, what's so special about him? He had errant intentions about me. Luo Yunchang was wishy-washy, holding his sleeve and acting like a big child. It unleashed a cuteness overload attack on everyone's heart. Zhuo Fan blinked, giving her another look. Young Miss has changed. She finally started to work out her naivety. And since the young Miss had spoken, it was a steward's duty to comply. Whether its request was real or not was besides the point. Zhuo Fan switched his tone in the blink of an eye and stared down Lin Xianfeng. Forest fleeting dragon Lin Xianfeng, you must be tired of living. You had the nerve to go after my young miss. He, and? It's not my fault that Luo clan has no men. Pa. He didn't get to finish his sentence as something knocked him flying. He went through 4 houses before getting buried under the rubble. Zhuo Fan was a whole 100 meters away, his eyes aflame as he lowered his hand. Bastard, you dare say that with me here? Go to hell. The silence was deafening. They stared slack-jawed at him. Even heaven-shaking Dragon Lord was stunned. What just happened? They were 100 meters apart. How did Zhuo Fan slap him away? The one under the rubble was from the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, Lin Xianfeng. The fastest man in the profound heaven stage. Be it an attack or a hidden weapon, anything thrown at the guy was easily dodged. That was all thanks to his speed. As for melee attacks, you couldn't even touch the man. Yet here was Zhuo Fan, flicking his hand and sending this speedster flying. If that wasn't shocking, what else was? But what was really on everyone's mind was, how did he do it? No one noticed anything. He moved so fast, it went beyond their perception, including heaven-shaking dragon lords. If a monster like him couldn't catch what happened, didn't that make Zhuo Fan a monster himself? Their eyes watching Zhuo Fan turned from shock to fearful. Xie Tianshang muttered to himself before sighing, soaring demonic dragon's reputation precedes him, what an oddity. Long Xingyun was dazed. I now know why father allied with the Luo clan. Why little Kuei and little Jia were so driven to cultivate. This monster gives too great of a shock. But will only cultivation be enough to catch up to these 2 monsters? Long Xingyun shook his head. Chu Qingcheng watched the imposing figure with a deep gaze.